It's me. I did it this time. I did because I wanna. It's my fault today. Hi, I'm your host, Forrest Valkai, and I am joined today by the incredibly impressive and ridiculously intelligent Roxanne, Dr. Roxanne, who has since completed her PhD and is now here to educate all of us on all sorts of really freaking cool things. Dude, I'm so fucking excited for you. That's huge. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. And I'm trying to remember when I was on the line last. I know it was after I had gotten my master's, but it was sometime in between like the absolute mindfuck that is like getting your master's, doing your comprehensive exam, and just like trying to get your dissertation done. And so now here I am on the other side of it. So yeah, it feels great.
Real quick. I can check. It was Skeptalk with Roxanne.
Yep.
Let's see here. That
and last time I was on,
it was 9 months ago.
Oh, really? Only not even a year? Yeah. It feels like it's been 4 years. Well,
yeah, right.
Last time I was on, someone left a wonderful comment saying that because I didn't have books behind my head like you do, it's hard to take me seriously, and that I should not sit in front of a blank wall. So I am still sitting in front of a blank wall. Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. But in case anyone feels that way, my degrees are above my head. So you can just see the blank wall from here.
That's the issue. That's why I have the books, because I need people. I'm actually quite stupid. And if people see the books, they don't know that. They just assume that I know what I'm talking about. My degrees are on the other wall. I gotta bring them over here. God.
It makes sense.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm glad you're here, books or no books, honestly, because I freaking love your content. I love the stuff that you put out, and I love the research that you got to talk about last time, and your perspective on things is really freaking cool to me. Because number one, I'm not a psychologist on purpose, you know what I mean? And number two is that we actually agree on like everything else besides the fact that, you know, being a biologist is better than being a psychologist. Throwing that out there, but just like beyond that, we agree on everything.
I didn't say that I disagreed with that. You've never asked me which is better.
You know what? I base my assumption on the fact that on the last show I tried to get you excited about tapeworms, and you would not get on my level, and I just don't.
It's coming back to me.
I feel hurt by that.
It's coming back to me. I remember that.
There's this really great like channel, I guess page. I don't know. They were on Twitter for a while. Now they're on Threads and everything like that. And it's like quoting the line. It's just like the best quote from each episode. And the quote they pulled from that episode was, "Are you into tapeworms, Roxanne?" Like they were just excited. I love it so much.
Oh God!
For everybody watching, we've got a great show lined up for you today. We wanted to do this not only to celebrate Roxanne's incredible achievement, but also just to talk about cool shit, because we've got this new cool show called Chewed Gum, which is all women hosts talking about women's issues in religion, purity culture and wifely duties and things like this. And I humbly asked if Roxanne might be interested in appearing on that show sometime, and she graciously accepted. And so, like, keep your eye open for that, because I'm getting her in touch with Arden and all the other producers, the people who run that thing. And like, you might be seeing more of her very soon. I know I'm excited about this. But of course, I also just wanted to like get here and like nerd out with you for a minute and hopefully take some theist callers. Because as always, the lines are open for theist callers. Call that number on the bottom of your screen there. That's 720-619-2288. I had to cream my neck to see it because I don't remember it. 720-619-2288, or just use the web link in the description to call in and talk to us if you're a theist or a creationist or a misogynist, or a transphobe,
or all of them,
or all
or
of
everything
the above.
else
Which,
together.
If we're honest, there's a lot of comorbidity of those symptoms. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, we could see which one you want to be. I also want to tell everybody that we've got a lot of other great shows on this channel, which I'm going to read for you now. Coming up on Sunday, which is in just a couple of days. Holy crap, it's the Sunday show with Eric, Skeptics and Scoundrels, and fucking me. Not fucking me, just regular me, but like I'll be there. And then we have an encore show, the Sunday show after dark after that, with Matt and Shannon. Then on Monday, we've got Skeptalk with John, Gleason, and London Storm. On Tuesday, we've got Chewed Gum with Eve and Alyssa. On Wednesday, we've got the Hang Up with Matt Dillahunty and Daryl Ray. On Thursday, we've got the Transit Show with Arden and Steph. And then pretty soon, we've got a charity stream for Recovering from Religion, which you guys should check out. And I think I'm doing other Sunday shows. I think I'm doing like all the Sunday shows from now until like the end of May, except for like one of them. I'm going to be on here a lot. Get used to regretting that, because I'm not going anywhere for a minute, because I'm not going to be here like all summer. So I'm soaking up as much as I can. So tune in to all those great shows. Tune into this show as well, and ask good questions and prepare to get ridiculous answers. With that, Roxanne, I took some time just to kind of hype you up, but I am legitimately excited about like what you've got going on in your life. So now that I've talked for like 6 solid minutes, tell us what you're thinking about and what you're doing right now, because I'm stoked to hear it.
Yeah, so for everyone who didn't see me before, I just finished my PhD, which was in social psychology, and like just quick recap to orient everyone, that's a non-clinical psych field. I do research. I don't work with patients or people, and I kind of study like the everyday and like what would be considered non-abnormal. So things like stereotypes and prejudice and group processes and interpersonal dynamics. And specifically, I study gender dynamics and processes like sexism, sexual harassment, all the like good fun stuff. And yeah, so I just wrapped up my PhD, just defended my dissertation. I've been like navigating the wonkiest job market, looking at like academic, non-academic. It's been awful. And I've been thinking about my life and what the fuck I'm doing, and having a bit of an existential crisis, but that's okay. And generally thinking about everyday sexism. Like I think it's actually bad for me, but like I think because I know so much about sexism and like subtle forms of sexism, I like see it everywhere, and then it stresses me out, and I'm like, I wish I didn't know about these things. I wish I just could be like blissfully ignorant and like not realize that like this is sexism and that's bad for me and that's bad for my health. So yeah, I just am always thinking about gender inequality in all forms. So that's the answer.
You know what? That actually, I love that, because like the way you phrased it there at the end, I'm just always thinking about gender inequality and all these forms. Like the way you said it was almost facetious. You're just like, oh, this is just the thing that I do, but like, holy shit, everybody should be doing that, right? You know what I mean? Like what blows me away is the amount of things that you talk about on your platform, that like, and maybe this sounds put upon, but like, it's shocking that it has to be a thing that's said. Like a lot of the shit you said is that you talk about is like, it blows my mind. You talk about AI before. You've talked about political processes. You've talked about crime rates. You've talked about health. You've talked about ways that sexism interacts with our lives in that I would have never imagined. That just, and then when you say it, I'm like, oh fuck, of course that's the case. You know what I mean? It just kind of, it hits you weirdly. But like, there's so many things that you have to talk about and have to think about that terrify me, that they're not, that you have to talk about them. And then, you know what I mean? It's wild.
And I've put it upon myself. And what's like really truly the double-edged sword is no matter what I post, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, wherever, I'll post about sexism in some way. Maybe I won't even outright say this is sexism, but like I just had a video where I showed discrepancy in student evaluations of men and women and like different usage of words like brilliant, genius, annoying, rude, like, you know, showing that evaluations are gendered. And I didn't even say like, this is sexism. And the comments are so sexist. So I'm like posting this video to like highlight this process, and then I'm getting slammed with it. And I'm like, maybe I just shouldn't, but I want to, because see, it's obviously like such an issue. I can't even talk about it without people calling me a misandrist. Right. So like something is wrong here. But it may be like a form of like self-deprecation and like just like self-sabotage to like put myself in these situations where I'm constantly a target of this sexism that I'm trying to talk about.
It's funny because like the what you just said is so poignant. Like it's so hard to not be labeled a misandrist. I've been labeled this as well. I made a video a little while ago. It was a stitch on TikTok, and it was this girl she was talking about like this guy who was like abusing his dog at the dog park. But she started the video by saying, the most annoying thing happened to me today at the dog park. There was a man, and I cut the video right there. There was a man, and there was a man, and then it cut to me. I'm like, oh, that's the worst. I'm so sorry. That's awful. I bet that's terrible. And like, it's silly, but like the amount of dudes in the comment section, like, this is misandrist bullshit. This is how I thought you were a science guy, and this is just completely. I'm like, I guarantee you that these are the same people that are going to go laugh at some stand-up comic talking about beating his girlfriend. Guaranteed. These are the same fucking people. And like, just the hypersensitivity from these fragile people who are so terrified that someone is not going to blanketly just love all dudes or be upset about the things that most dudes are doing. It's man, the dichotomy is striking when you're actually paying attention to it. I know I'm preaching to the choir to you. I'm hoping that like our viewers will like kind of look at that a little bit more, you know?
Yeah, I will say, just between like juggling the job market and like doing my dissertation, I've taken such a big step back from posting on social media. And part of it is just because like I can't deal with the amount of like vitriol and also stupidity in the comment section, or like not even comments, but, you know, my content being reported and taken down as like harassment and bullying when it's very clearly not. So yeah, I've been taking not a break, but definitely like a small hiatus. I'd say I've just like kind of been reposting old stuff and only talking about things if like they're kind of lighthearted lately, because it takes a fucking toll.
Yeah. And TikTok, it's hard because you can never really tell if TikTok's just fucking terrible or if there actually is like some bias going, you know what I mean? And like, there's some times where it's clear, it's really evident. And then there's sometimes like I made a joke about rocks and now I'm being flagged for minor safety. You know, like what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, that's what's happening. Yeah. And so but like, dude, when you see it across so many platforms and you see it so consistently, just like the hot buttons that shouldn't be buttons, the things that these people fall apart over, I get what you're talking about. It is deeply annoying. And I've kind of been doing the same thing. I mean, me with my very difficult white cis het man life, I have also been taking kind of a break a little bit from TikTok and mainly just reposting shit because like, dude, it's
just a lot. It's a lot to manage, like to manage all of the emotions of whoever happens to see your video and like has decided that they want to speak into the comment section. I'm like, I didn't need that in my life. Maybe post that elsewhere.
I love the fact that you use the word emotion there. I love that so much because I've been trying to incorporate that when a man gets really worked up and mad, he's just all pissed off it, calling it what it is. It's an emotion. And I find that when men are angry, referring to anger as an emotion or an emotional state tends to make them a lot more emotional. And that is deeply funny to me. But
well, because it's not, they're being logical. They're not being emotional. They're being logical. Anger is the logical response to whatever.
It's so good, dude. We've got a couple of calls lined up, and I want to jump into them a little bit, but like I want to also continue what we're talking about here. To start with, though, I've got somebody who's was our first caller to call in, who I don't know what they're gonna say that we don't already agree with or don't already have, but
Okay.
hey, I'm willing to hear some new things. We've got John from Texas, pronouns he him, who is an atheist caller who says that the Christian God absolutely is misogynistic, and he has something to back it up with. So let's hear what he's talking about. John, you're on the line. How are you doing?
Hello, Forrest. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a pleasure to talk to you again, Forrest. And hello, Roxanne. It's a pleasure to talk to you and meet you as well. I also want to congratulate you on your PhD, and thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries, man.
All right, what's going on? I just want to give a little bit of a brief background, but it will be very brief about me. Is that I used to preach. My father's also a preacher. 3 uncles of mine are preachers as well, and both of my grandfathers were elders in the church. So as you can see, I was indoctrinated into Christianity since my childhood. And because of my indoctrination, I know the scriptures very well. And because I know the scriptures, I know for sure that the biblical God is a misogynist. And even though that you, Forrest and Roxanne, as well as every atheist listener knows that, I would like to use some unholy scriptures from the Bible to prove that the biblical God is indeed a misogynist. And I really want theist apologists to listen to this. But I also hope to reveal some horrific passages, not only to apologist theists, but also to atheists who may not know some of these horrific biblical stories. So let's, before,
instead of doing like a whole presentation, just give us like one at a time. We'll talk about it a little bit and we'll go forward. Okay.
All right. That's fine. I'll try and make this as quick as I can. I'm sorry. So as you know,
no, you're fine. I'm just letting you know, like rather than having us just sit here and just nod, you know what I mean? We'll have a conversation about them.
Okay. Well, I mean, the first part where we see misogyny is when the first woman, Eve, was made from a man's rib, which basically made her property of Adam, property of man. And then the second part that I see is when Eve ate. Oh, go ahead, Forrest.
Well, I was going to say, it's if there's a second part to that, go and finish the second part to that exact one, because I have a thought about it.
And then when Eve ate from the forbidden fruit, she was cursed to give birth to children with unbearable pain and to desire her husband who would have dominion over her. So since Eve, a woman, sinned, now, according to that myth, innocent women who did not commit the same sin as Eve should also be punished for her sins.
So I would argue like yeah, so the first part you said, saying that and maybe Roxanne, maybe you have a different opinion, saying that Eve was made from Adam's rib, I don't find that to be a thing of like, this is definitely a possession thing. I think that would be, if I were a Christian apologist, I would call that a stretch. However, the second half of what you said is very good, because like you've got here on, it's Genesis 3:16. I was going to bring this up, but you did already. Actually, you can go further back to 3:15. God says, I will create animosity between men and women. You'll create enmity. Enmity is the word that they use, which I love that word. But like, I'll create this hostility between men and women. And then in 16, he says, for the woman, I will multiply your sorrow at conception. And sorrow you shall bring forth children. And your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. So creating sexual desire, misogyny, or as you say, patriarchy, really, a patriarchal culture, painful childbirth, and also sexist conflict, all of that because people did something that they, by definition, could not know was wrong when they did it because they didn't know what good and evil was at the time. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, they were acting out of ignorance. They had no idea what. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But yeah, I mean, they did not know that they were sinning.
Yeah, Roxanne, do you agree with me about the rib part? Because maybe I'm missing something there.
I am not an expert in the Bible. I don't think I've opened the book. But yeah, so I
you're lucky.
Based on the context and what you said, I agree that doesn't necessarily to me sound like implied ownership. If anything, it sounds like perceived similarity between the two. Like we share this common feature, so we should be treated the same. But I'll bow out there because I don't know.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Right,
It's good for you that you haven't read the damn thing. I have to a little bit for my job, and it's miserable every time. But I do love that kind of vibe. It is very much. It's kind of a vibe to be like, you know, to bring in this feminist energy and then have some Christian say, well, the Bible said, I've never even opened the book. I love that shit. You know what I mean? That's great. That's a whole ass mood right there.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then there's this next part is in Deuteronomy. Now I'm not going to read it, but it says in Deuteronomy 25:11 through 12, just a summary: if two men are fighting, and one of the men's wife comes out to interrupt the fight to defend her husband, and if she accidentally touches the other man's genitals, basically his penis and or testicles, her hand with which she accidentally touches the man's penis shall be cut off. And where the fuck is the passage that says if a man interrupts a fight between his wife and another woman and accidentally touches, and I do say accidentally in quotations, touches the other woman's vagina. That's actually
for her, is that she's touched this dude's dick and now she would rather the hand be removed herself. You know what I'm saying? Like that's actually, a woman wrote that and was very happy about it. But yeah, no, that is a thing. There's so much in the Bible. You don't have to look very hard about like sexual ownership, and ownership of a whole person with a very specifically sexual context. It wasn't if a woman breaks up a fight. It wasn't if a woman breaks up a fight and hits somebody. If a woman breaks up a fight and stabs one of the men in the process and hurts it. No, if you graze his dong, you need to have your hand removed. What is that? Honestly, like what, who came up with that rule and why?
It's misogyny. And besides, I mean, what if a man accidentally touches a woman's pussy while he was trying to break up a fight between his wife and another woman? There's no passage for that.
I'm just trying to like imagine a fight like this. Like, how does that happen?
It's like that clip. Have you seen that clip online? It's these people at like a wrestling show, and there's the guy's like, twist his dick, grab his dick and twist it. Fucking, no. You know what though? You spray a cat with water, you know, you blow a dog whistle, you grab a man's dong, you stop the fight. That's how it's done. Safety first, everyone. Safety first, then teamwork. John will do one more, and then we've got some other calls lined up.
Okay. I guess I'll mention one more, which is found in Deuteronomy 22, 23, 27, which it talks about if a man rapes a woman, but the woman does not scream for help, which, if you think logically, would probably cause the rapist to harm her more if she screams for help, or even kill her. If she does, then she will be killed for not screaming for help. And then I'm not going to go too much into more detail about it, but I mean, you can read Numbers 31 as well, where God commanded the Israelites to kill all the Midianite men, the non-virgin women,
girls,
and spare the virgin girls. And what are a bunch of horny Israelite men going to do with virgins? They're going to fuck them without their consent. What else? What the fuck else would they do with them?
It's not a fucking stretch of the imagination about what they would do with a bunch of captured virgins. But yeah, no, that's the thing, man, is that like when women are referred to in the Bible, 9 times out of 10, it's referring to them as property or referring them as a sexual object, or both. So yeah, like I say, you do not have to look hard to find misogyny in the Bible. There's a whole part but we're going to go and move on, John. I really appreciate it.
All right, that's fine.
Awesome day,
you can also read Judges 19 and Genesis 19.
Yeah, take care, John.
Thank
See
you
you later.
very much for y'all.
Bye. There's a whole part that I've got highlighted here. I see if I can find it very quickly. But like all the time, whenever people talk about women in the Bible, if they're mentioned at all, it is just as like a background character, a thing what got fucked. Something, you know, to be controlled. There's one part, and I'll find it later and I'll post it, but the Hannah and Jake have an amazing atheist Bible study thing on their channel, and they had this one section that I highlighted called Dueling Vaginas, where it's this dude and his 2 wives, and the wives are like competing to see who can have the most children with this guy in order to like earn his love and his favor and shit. And it's just really fucking weird to see this mentality being put down in a book that is absolutely written by dudes for dudes about.
I was going to say, it sounds like I'm in a subreddit, or I occasionally see stuff posted on a subreddit that's called like men writing women or something to that effect, yes. Where it's like a woman character who's very clearly they've never interacted with, met a woman, learned about what women want or don't want. That's what that sounds like to me.
Absolutely. By the way, that's Genesis 29:31 through 30:24. It's the Leah and some other lady. I don't know. Both just having Rachel, real Leah and Rachel. It seems. I don't know. Just both going back and forth with this one guy, trying to have as many kids as possible so that he'll like them. And it's like, dude, you can fail the Bechdel test and then you can get like an F-. You know what I mean? Like you can get like a rejection. That's where we're at. It's a bad time. By the way, grab his dick and twist it. I just put it in the chat. Everybody can enjoy. Fucking hysterical video. Twist his dick. I love that you've never read a Bible. I didn't know that about you.
No,
that makes me smile.
I was raised incredibly non-religious. My family is Jewish, and when I was like 11 or 12, I started like kind of learning more like about the cultural side of my Judaism, but I never went to Hebrew school or anything, so very just like not at all religious in any way. It's like
congratulations.
I'm like, I'm like listening to you read those passages, and I'm like, I genuinely can't. I was trying to think, like, if I were to have been raised that way, would I have believed these words then? Because I'm like, this is a book written by, I don't know who wrote this. I don't know. Why would I believe this? So crazy.
That's what gets me is like, you think about, I wonder how this sounds to you, because I know what it sounds to me. You know what I mean? When I hear people talk about, whatever sexist, racist, homophobic, xenophobic shit that they draw out of the Bible, I know how silly it sounds to me, but I was also raised around it. And I had some sort of pseudo weird half-ass religion at a time where I was like, oh, this was in a really old book. It must mean something. You know what I mean? So I get where their headspace is at, kind of. Not nearly as much as somebody who is like seriously involved in the church, but a little bit I can get it. But for you as a complete outsider, it must be especially weird to have somebody be like, yo, in Timothy, whatever it is, the book of Timothy, I don't remember where, but in Timothy, wherever, it says that women should have no authority over men. They shouldn't be allowed to lead. They should remain silent and submissive. That's in here. So for you to hear that, you're like, okay, cool. I have a book too.
Right. No. I'm like, I can write a book. I can write a book that says the opposite. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll write like a feminist Bible.
Feminist Bible.
I won't call it that because that sounds really, really tacky, and like you would find that at Marshall's. But I will write something, and it'll just be random shit, and there'll be random stories of people with weird names, and
that's all you need. God. And Nehemiah said that every Tuesday shall be Taco Tuesday. Therefore, it is written.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that, dude. I love that so much. We've got, it's interesting. Lines are always open for theists who want to call in, theists, creationists, transphobes, homophobes, misogynists, whatever. If you want to call in and challenge our beliefs, we always prioritize those calls. But we've got a ton of atheists who are calling in who just like have questions about this, who want to talk about this a little bit more. So I'm gonna go on with them for just a minute, because like especially with that, I'm interested to hear your take on this one. This is Ashton calling in from Canada, pronouns he, him. Ashton wants to talk about how to deal with his hard right conservative Christian young earth creationist parents. Now, I'm going to come at this from the the Christian young earth creationist side. I think you and I can both take the hard right conservative side, but especially with you being who you are and knowing what you know and doing what you do, I'm stoked to death to hear what you have to say to Ashton. Ashton, you were on the line. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for taking the call. I really appreciate it. I suppose I'm just here for some. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, give us some background. Tell us what you're calling about. But it seems like you're already doing
for
that.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So, just for some background, I suppose I was raised in a very young Earth creationist household, and I went to a similar, I guess, school, if you could call it, a private school from like kindergarten to grade 10, where that was, like all we were taught, and like no real science was a thing. After kind of gaining my own opinions, and after graduating high school, and a few years after, I decided to actually go back to university and pursue a degree in physics and astronomy. So my parents are not very keen on that, and especially lately, it's been very hard to like connect with them regarding like my interests, and especially with current global affairs. It hasn't been the greatest relationship between them. So I'm just wondering if like, you two could either provide any like advice and like how to go about, like, I don't know, not like arguing with them, but like, like talking to them or like empathizing with them, or like how to deal with it.
I think if I've learned anything as a social psychologist, it's that it's incredibly hard to change people's beliefs, especially when they are like deeply held. I can't imagine being in that position, and I feel like I could approach it like from my personal side, which would be like to be very argumentative, because that's just how I am, or like the sciencey side, where I know that like it's good to, if you're trying to have a conversation with someone where you want to challenge their assumptions or their beliefs in a way that's effective, you have to be so delicate. You have to be like, you have to appreciate and recognize their position and be like, I completely understand where you're coming from. That makes sense to me. Have you thought about this maybe? And like, kind of, you have to handhold, and like, if they feel like they're being attacked, they will shut down and will not be open to hearing what you have to say. And that's such a hard, like, that's such a balance act. And I don't know if it's like, for me, if it would be worth it. Like, I guess it depends on like what you want from your relationship with them, right? Do you want to change their mind? Do you want to be able to just enjoy being in their presence without feeling hostility? Do you want to not speak to them anymore? I don't know. I feel like that makes a difference.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, I definitely don't think that changing their mind is even like a reasonable thing to think to think about doing. But like, it would definitely be nice to just like not want to scream into the void after seeing them. So
yeah,
and I know Forrest, you're very familiar with. Oh, sorry.
Forrest,
you go ahead, Roxanne.
I forget what I was going to say.
That's fine.
It came at went.
I was just going to say, like, I think what you just said at the very end there was actually quite pointed, because when people ask us a lot about like, what do I do with my parents, with my spouse, with my grandparents, with whoever it is that's very religious, very conservative, what have you, how do I deal with them? The first question I always try to ask is that, what's the goal? What's the relationship you're trying to get out of this? You know what I mean? And like, is it worth it for that relationship to have this kind of conflict, or is it something you just need to fucking deal with? Because I have family members that I don't know I'm an atheist and don't know what I do for a living, and they have my grandmother-in-law, is that a thing? Crosses all over her house, and has said some really repugnant and abhorrent things, believing that it was a good Christian thing to say. And it just, the best case scenario of me confronting her about this is that I make a very old woman sad. That is the best possible thing that could happen. And like, she's not going to change her mind. She's just going to be upset and worried for me. So like, at the end of the day, it's fine. Meanwhile, you know, most of my in-laws, I don't have any family myself, but like, I've got a bunch of in-laws, and like, hell yeah, we'll get into it from time to time, because it's worth it. It's more important for me to have that discussion than it is to know that they like me at that particular moment. So, you know, thinking about what you actually want out of the relationship is always got to be the first step. And then from there, you got to think about, you know, like, who are you talking to? Where are they coming from? And like, what's the actual goal of this individual conversation, this individual thing, not the whole 10-year relationship of like trying to change their mind slowly. In this conversation, can I convince them of one simple thing, of one truth about the universe that they live in, or about, you know, of about what I think of their beliefs, or of can I get them to accept me for who I am just a little bit more, for just one little thing, and see if we can just start chipping away at that hate, at that wall. Those are things that I would encourage, because otherwise you're going to end up being very vitriolic and very hateful and very resentful, and you're not going to get anywhere very fast, and you're going to end up just destroying any chance you could have had at a positive relationship. And maybe that's what needs to happen. I'm not ruling it out. You know, there's a lot of people on this channel who have cut out family members, but nobody wants that unless it has to be that. You know what I mean? It's not like that's ever going to be my first suggestion.
Definitely. Yeah, no, that's very insightful. I really appreciate it. I think actually one other thing, I don't know how to, you know, paraphrase this, but especially with you, Forrest, I know your expertise is in evolution and biology. And when my parents ask me, you know, like what I'm studying in school or what kind of classes I'm taking, and I talk about, I'm taking an astrophysics course, and it talks about like, or a course specifically dealing with like the formation of stars, how like they get very defensive about that. And I don't know, how do you like go about talking about reality to them without them, I don't know, like thinking you're attacking them personally, or like how to go about what you really love, or, you know, I don't know.
Good question.
Yeah.
I have been not like kicked out, but asked not to return to a Christian school once, who hired me to do like a whole like after school science program. And one of the kids asked me like how stars worked, and we talked about it. And I got a really angry phone call the next day from the principal talking about how like, I've got parents calling in saying the kids say that stars made them and not Jesus. And it's like, I told them how nucleosynthesis works and how new atoms are made. I don't know what you want. When there's a really common phrase that you will find applies to lots of things. When you are in a position of privilege, equality feels like oppression. And when you have Christians who have been very much in a position of privilege for a very long time, who have been running the show and controlling things for a very long time, not learning about Christianity and not paying deference to Christianity feels to them like an attack on Christianity. I was recently accused of this on Easter. I made a post on Instagram talking about all the holidays that it was besides Easter. And I had a Christian person claim that I was attacking Christians because I didn't talk about Easter. And it's like, dude, there's just other shit going on, and acknowledging that there's other shit going on doesn't detract from the shit that you've got going on. I'm just not participating in the shit. And so in terms of that, there is no silver bullet right answer here. There just isn't. It depends on how you want to meet them and where you want to meet them. And so if they're getting defensive over what you're learning, mention the fact that it's not an opinion, that it's not an ideology. It's not a doctrine. It's not something that you are being indoctrinated into. It's stuff that you are actually like doing. One of the parts of getting a science degree is doing tests to back to. I've proven the speed of light in a lab. I've proven the force of gravity in a lab. I've tested evolution in a lab and demonstrated. I've done these things myself. Rather than just listening to a professor say that it's real, we went into a lab and we did it. And we calculated it by ourselves, and we learned how to do it properly. And we learned the errors that most humans do that we did wrong. Like, that's important. And so, like, if you're learning this shit and they're getting defensive about it, talk about the evidence. Talk about why you know what you know. Talk about the history of discovery. Talk about, give that, regurgitate what you learned in class, because not only will that make it harder for them to say, well, you're just attacking our beliefs, it also has the best chance of actually convincing them that this thing is real. Oh, this isn't actually just something that somebody said. The most common deconstruction story I hear from formerly religious people is, I went out to look for evidence against evolution, and all I could find was evidence for it. I went out and looked about why the Big Bang wasn't real. I found out why it was. I went out there looking for evidence for God. I found jack shit. As soon as they start actually investigating what evidence is and why it matters, it falls apart. So that's what I will
say with that. The issue, there's a huge issue, which is that people don't know how to look for evidence. Like, people think that looking on Facebook is looking for evidence, right? Like, we have to, like, teach people how to actually look for credible, reliable information. And that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. But I seriously appreciate your call, Ashton. We got a couple other people, including we got one theist caller here that I'd love to talk to. But Ashton, I really appreciate you calling in and talking to us about this. And I really hope things get better with your family and that you're able to make some headway.
Of course. Thank you very much for taking the call. I really, really appreciate it.
Take care.
Yeah, keep up the good work. Looking forward to a new video soon. Bye.
Don't tell me what to do. I'll keep up the good work if I want to. There was so much there. Like, I could have talked about that call for a very long time. But I know we got to move on. But, like, honestly, that is some real serious shit. And there were like 3 things that I wanted to say that I fucking forgot. And if I remember them, I'll bring them up later on. But, like, getting through to people and just, like, trying to get people to understand.
It's hard.
That's the one thing. Yeah, one thing, he didn't specifically say this, but he said that his parents were, like, far right conservative. When people say that reads to me misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic, racist. Like, I hear these things that come from this side, and I'm sure there's some fucking conservative in the comments like now, like, oh, so we're all transphobic just because I don't like trans people. Anyway, that's my conservative voice. But, you know, one thing that I think is really important is that, you know, when we talk about LGBT people, especially when I do, I try to come at it from a very scientific perspective, and I try to be like, here's what the leading scientists in the world talk about. Here's the evidence for this and that and the other. Here's what we talk about with sex and gender and gender norms and things from nature and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it should, like, that's all really important, and I like learning about it, and I think it's a valid thing to talk about, but it shouldn't fucking matter. Human rights should come first. Dignity should come first. And so, like, if something is saying, like, you know, if these people aren't hurting anyone, even if we had no science to back it up, and it was just this crazy, aberrant, deviant behavior, unless they are hurting somebody, they should have the right to do what they're doing. And so, like, I don't want to get into, like, this weird Mott and Bailey type situation of, like, until you can convince me of the science, I don't need to treat these people with respect. And I feel like that when you're talking to people like Ashton, when Ashton are talking to people like their parents, I feel like maybe that's a thing to bring up as well. It's like, even if you don't believe me on issues like, you know, LGBT people, isn't it better to do what your Bible says and love your neighbor and you know, care more for the people who are marginalized and the people who are in power and all this stuff? I don't know. That's a whole other thing, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I guess, like, the default then becomes, though, oh, but in the Bible it also says XYZ and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I've never read it, like I said. I only see what people post online about it. And I have a hair in my eye, so let me just figure out what's going on with my face.
It's okay. We won't all just stare at you silently and not let the show progress until we figure it out. We won't make it awkward at all.
Goodbye.
We've got Yeah, we've got somebody in the queue here that I'd like to bring on next. I also, before I do though, would like to point out that there's one person in the chat who said that my conservative voice is just Hamsar from Homestar Runner. I believe there's only XX and XY.
Perfect, incredible. No notes.
We've got Tommy, pronouns they, them, calling in from England, who is a theist who says that God loves me for who I am. And that is a very interesting take that I would love to dig into from a lot of different angles. Tommy, you are on the line. How are you doing today?
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got a lot of things to talk about.
You had something you want to talk about. Tell us.
Yeah,
You okay? Are you? It sounds like you are currently eating your phone, Tommy. Are you all right? Like, what's going on?
sorry.
All right, Tommy. I'm going to go and return you back to the queue for just a little bit, and we'll see if maybe your phone issues resolve, and if not, we'll see what happens. But we'll come back to you in just a minute. Instead, I actually want to hear your thoughts on this, Roxanne. We've got Nicholas, pronouns he, him, calling in from cavernous anus or California, who wants to ask about what we do to improve the compliments that we give to all genders. This call can either be really insightful or really fucking annoying. I don't know which one it's going to be. Nicholas, you are on the line.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Man, I freaking love this show. So, yeah, I'd like to talk about the like compliments that certain genders, what we like the compliments we give to each other. Like, I feel like generally speaking, it seems that women get more compliments on their looks and men get more compliments on their work ethic, and it seems to be like it's coming from a place of ego. So I just would like to hear any explanation you have on ways we can improve that.
Yes.
What do you think, Roxanne?
Yes, Tommy. No, Nicholas. Who were we with? Nicholas? Why did I say Tommy? Who was
Nicholas,
Tommy?
was
Was Tommy the last person?
Tommy
so
was the last
names.
person who was consuming their phone.
Yeah, Nicholas.
I was trying not to laugh. I felt awful. Okay, so I think that's such a great like insight, and definitely I would say, even though it shouldn't be, backed by empirical evidence. I see this a lot in kind of the work that I do. And, you know, I see like quotes kind of floating around where people starting to use the phrase, your appearance is the least interesting thing about you, right? So like if someone's complimenting my appearance, it's like, it feels so superficial, or it's like, okay, well, this is just how I was born looking. I didn't put any effort into this, but like, could you compliment my intelligence or my work ethic, or like the fact that I just got a PhD, or like my creativity or my kindness? So, I mean, I don't think we should never compliment people's appearance, but I think it can be really backhanded in some ways. Like, oh, you look so great. Have you lost weight? That's not great. If you're, you know, only commenting on women's appearance, but not men's appearance. But I am interested more in kind of like what you see, like the types of compliments that you see men getting. Cause obviously I'm not a man and I don't experience that, but you said it seems like their work ethic is commented on. Yeah. Really?
Yeah, I'd say in like this with the workspace and stuff like that. Yeah, like I don't know, just like somewhat like more attaboys in a way. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess if there's only like maybe it's a lack thereof of physicality compliments given to men, maybe.
And like,
I'm not sure. Like, I feel like it goes both ways.
Well, yeah, but like I think there is something there, because like it on this channel, we make sure that like we just kind of don't allow physical compliments for the hosts, no matter their gender, because it's kind of,
I get it.
You know what I mean? We're not trying to do that. We're not trying to harbor that environment. But like even without that moderation, in general, I'll have somebody compliment my appearance from time to time, and that's okay, I guess. I'm not excited about it. I prefer you didn't, but like whatever. I'm not going to get upset. But most of the compliments that I receive when I receive them are, I love this thing you've made. I love the work you did on this thing. I love what you're able to accomplish, what you're doing, what your actions are. And you can see the dichotomy when, with my female colleagues, it's always first, like, you look so nice. You mentioned you've lost weight. That sucks for a lot of reasons, not just that it's a physical compliment rather than anything else, but also like it endorses this beauty standard and also this body standard. And also, okay, so you're telling me that I was gross earlier, and if I gain weight, you're not going to like it. And like, oh, there's a lot there. Right. And there's so many layers of problem whenever you're just taking time to compliment somebody. And you can see it, especially, I think it's most easily seen by absolutely anybody when we talk about like celebrities, movie stars and musicians and stuff. That's something that I think is the most accessible for anybody to look at. How do we talk about, I don't know celebrities very well. Benedict Cumberbatch is a guy, I think. So like, how do we talk about him as opposed to how do we talk about Scarlett Johansson, right? How do we talk about these people? And why is it that in only one of them we say, how did you fit in that costume? How were you wearing underpants or not? What was your diet like to get so skinny and look so nice? And like, what was like? Tell me about your outfit tonight. Who were you wearing, and what was the vibe? And like, what color are your toes tonight? And all these things. It's only with female, actresses, or I should say actor. Like, I'm trying to find a way to say that better. It's only with women, in that industry, that we are going to ask those questions. There was a really good, oh God, who was it? It was when a woman became like prime minister of some country somewhere. And I remember there was a news article published about her husband that was written as if their genders were reversed. And it was like, he appeared in this tiny pinstripe suit with little glasses perched upon his nose, didn't speak a single word about his accolades or who he was, just talked about what he was wearing. Right. And it's fucking ridiculous when people hear it in that direction. And I wish more people heard as ridiculous, coming at where it usually is.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I definitely agree. It's just interesting how like for so long, I guess it's because of religion included and all these issues that we've just have become like our way of thinking is skewed. It could, like, for example, like I'm now that I'm so more secular, I'm like, my views are need to be questioned even more, I think, as a skeptic or whatever it is, to try to like I'm watching the patriarchy show you guys have on here, like, trying to take effort to learn about stuff rather than just sitting on my laurels.
Well, I think that's fucking awesome. The more time you can spend trying to learn a thing, it's going to be better and better for you. I'm going to be honest with you, this call is going way better than I thought it was, because I was really expecting like, well, if I can't compliment women, what am I supposed to say? That kind of shit. But like, hey, I do want to address that kind of thing, because the point of your call, you said, what are ways we can improve? Roxanne, I'd love to hear your opinion. Like, what are ways you think that like everyday people who mean well can like kind of check their bias at the door and can maybe notice some internal things that they don't even maybe pay attention to, that they do, that they could like easily correct for?
I feel like for me, I'm trying to think about like when I receive comments about my appearance, or like even if it's compliments, and I feel like I'm less like put off buy them when they come from people that I know personally. If like a random person, specifically a man, is like, oh, like you're so beautiful, I'm like, don't look at me. I don't want to be beautiful. I want like stop it. But if my friend who like I know really well is like, you like I wear a nice outfit, we go out and she's like, you look beautiful. I'm like, thank you. I feel beautiful. And I love that you can see that from me. Right. So I don't know. I feel like it depends on who I feel like it depends on who it is. I guess it's like it's contextual. Like, is commenting on the appearance relevant to the situation? Are you like at someone's wedding where she like a bride should be beautiful? She probably paid a lot of money for her makeup and a fuck ton for a dress that she's going to wear once. She probably really wants to hear that she looks beautiful, right? But if it's just some random person that you have never met and you're like, wow, you're like so hot, like maybe not. But it does tie in so well to my like main area of research, which is objectification, which you kind of touched on when you were talking about the Bible, which again, never read, but like all this talk of like ownership and like reducing women to sex objects. When we talk about objectification in the social psych literature, it's typically conceptualized as a focus on appearance over a focus on someone's competence. So it's almost a spectrum of seeing someone as like a competent, capable, person who can have subjective experiences and think critically, versus someone on the other end who like is just a body and that's what gives them value. So I see like the appearance versus the appearance compliment versus like the work ethic compliment as a perfect example of how women are typically objectified more than men, and like one manifestation of that.
I love the distinction you made for like
and everyone degrades in age
as well. You know what I mean?
What was that, Nicholas?
I said everyone degrades in age, so if you only assign your value to your looks and to your worth, it doesn't really like over time everyone's just going to look like more wrinkly. So you know what I mean?
Your value has an expiration.
You gotta give each other the compliments of the character.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. And I love, Roxanne, what you said. The first thing you started with was really bringing up this concept of like social proximity. You know what I mean? Do I trust you enough? Do I know you well enough to make those jokes? Or not make those jokes, pardon me, to give me those compliments. I was going to say that there's certain jokes that I will make that I would never make with a stranger that I'll make around my wife. And then certain things that she'll say to me that are disgusting that I think are great because it's coming from her. You know what I mean? If I treated any woman the way that I talk to her, or if she treated any man the way she talks to me, like there'd be a serious problem. And there's a scale down from that with just my friends. And it's the same thing. There's ways that I would talk to you. You and I are friends. We've worked professionally a couple of times. I still have a very different boundary with you than I do with like Arden Hart, who I've sat across the table and played board games with and talked about dicks. It's a very different feel. And so like there's like I think that concept of like social proximity as a guide for what you're going to do, it's that old thing, like if you wouldn't say it to your grandma, you shouldn't say kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like also take it like 5 steps further. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I also noticed like there's something you can compliment someone's appearance in a way that's like, I don't know exactly how to say this, but like someone telling me that like I look good versus someone complimenting like a specific item that I'm wearing or like complimenting a tattoo of mine. Like that feels a little bit more like personal. If someone's like, oh, I love that bag, or I love your outfit. You have such a great sense of style. That's still complimenting my appearance, but in like an authentic way that still makes me feel like I'm an autonomous person. I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, I'm just listening.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
No, it definitely makes sense. With that, we've got a couple more calls on the line we're going to jump over to. But Nicholas, I really appreciate you calling in, man. Seriously.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my first time here calling in. So, and I listen to you guys all the time. So, talk to you later.
Call back to Chewed Gum. Call back to Chewed Gum with this same kind of thing, and I bet you get some really interesting answers.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
All right. See you later.
Bye, Nicholas.
All right. So we've got a couple people left here. And then of course we'll have, super chats at the end. So if you want to have a thing put up on screen, send in a super chat and we'll read those before we end the show. And always lines are open to theists. At this point, we're kind of hoping to just only if we have a couple more atheists on the line that we're going to talk to, but like theists are allowed to call in, but like we're going to take these guys and then we'll be done for the night. So that number once again is 720-619-2288. I loved the predictivity of all of this because honestly, like I said, I expected that call to be so much worse than it was. But I think it still got to a really good point of just like context, consent, familiarity. Yeah. Like these are all super important things for everywhere. Yeah, any social interaction. These are important concepts. And I think what Nicholas was presenting is very reasonable stuff. I don't think that he's not. I would not accuse him of not thinking hard enough about any of this. But there's a lot of people out there that really just they don't put two thoughts into it, and it's like, oh well, if I can't tell somebody that their rack looks good today, I guess I just don't have free speech anymore. And it's like, bro, just.
I've had this conversation. Yeah, I've had this conversation in the comment section of TikToks where I've posted a couple times like about like men kind of feeling like they have access to women when they're in public spaces. So like I will be I'll be at a coffee shop like this with my headphones on working, and someone will like come up to me and like, what are you working on? What do you do for work? Like, and I'm like, I'm what? And like I'll post a video where I'm like, hey, if like a woman is working clearly like headphones in, typing away, she doesn't want to have a conversation with you, most likely. And people are like, well, where am I supposed to meet women? Why are you saying that I'm not allowed, that like I'm not allowed to talk to someone because she's there? Like, how else am I supposed to date? And I'm like, I don't know. But like, read the fucking room. Just like your desire to say something to me should not supersede my like autonomy and what I'm doing already.
Right.
Just
I guarantee I've been working on some cool ass shit sitting in a coffee shop writing something really interesting. Nobody's bothered to come and be like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, and they could have. They would have been justified. I'd work on neat things, but like nobody did that because it wasn't just a weird fucking way to get their foot in the door and try to get in my pants. You know what I mean? So it's just be less obvious, I guess, is what I would say to dudes trying to pick up women at coffee shops. Also, don't. You heard my phone go off for a second as I was pulling up. I wanted to make sure I was saying this person's name right. This is Len. At Miss Punny Penny, PUNNYPENNIE. She's on TikTok. Okay. And she's this Scottish woman who does Scots word of the day, and she teaches the Scots language because it's very important to her to kind of carry this language on. And she does like at least every fucking third video is some guy. She literally all she does is, here's this word, which means river, and here's how you use it in a sentence, and this is the video, and that's every single bit. But every other video, she has to respond to some comment that's like, ooh, those thighs, oh my God. Like, oh, and she's just like, okay, let's go over the Scots word for fucking creep. Let's try to cover that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she does these awesome poems as well. She actually put out a book because the way she says it in her accent is poems. And so she put out a book called Poems, Poyems, I think. But she does these poems where she's like, talking about women's safety, talking about men or little boys growing up to see women as objects and being fucking disgusting, and like talking about this culture. And it's incredibly articulate. And the amount of dude bros in the comment section that just fucking like seemingly deliberately can't get it blows my mind to fucking shit, dude. So I don't know, and like, something about this.
No, and I got shit like that too. And to me, like, it might not be blatant, but to me, that's just another example of it, like denying someone's experience. Denial of experience is literally objectifying. To treat someone as an object is to deny them from having experiences. So like if I say like this happens to me, this happens to women, and people just want to devil's advocate it or deny that that's real, or like act as if I've made something up, like that is that's the fucking phenomenon that we're talking about. And I don't know if it's just like a lack of like self-awareness where these people don't realize that what they're commenting is what we're talking about, or if it's just like I don't know.
Yeah, it's either you don't see it or you're doing it deliberately, and I don't know which one is more sad. It's really fucking, hey, this was really deeply hurtful and offensive and a little bit frightening to me. No, it wasn't. Okay. I guess I'll go fuck myself then. Sorry.
My bad.
We've got a couple people left. And these are a little bit more religious calls, but these are both from atheists who are, talking about like religious things that they've either dealt with or that they are currently dealing with. We'll start with this one. This is Gabe, pronouns he, him, calling in from Texas. How do you deal with folks who say, I am spiritual, I am not religious? Gabe, you're on the line. How are you doing today?
Hi, Forrest.
Hello.
I called you last week about kind of a similar question. I just forgot about that one.
Yeah, I got here on the notes. You called last week to say, how do I respond to somebody who says that Christianity is not a religion, but a relationship with Jesus?
Yeah, I think when you were with Jim.
Yeah. Somebody has to be real for you to be in a relationship with them.
Yes, but now it's how do you deal with someone that's on spiritual, not religious, but they still mirror Christianity?
Yeah, I would say tell me the difference, because like a lot of times, sorry, you have something?
Can I ask a clarifying question? What do you mean by deal with? Like, just exist around?
How do you talk to these people when someone says that? Like, it's how do you talk to somebody who is going to have that? Because like a lot of times, people who watch these shows are deconstructing themselves or have deconstructed, but still have to deal with religious people in their day-to-day life. And so like your questions like this come in quite frequently where people say like, all right, well, my mom said this weird fucking shit. How do I handle that? How do I deal with that? And I'm spiritual, not religious. That's one I've heard quite a bit. And yeah, what sucks is that like, there's not two people in the world who identify as spiritual who can give me the same definition for what spiritual means. I used to identify as spiritual. I used to use that all the time. And it's not like spirituality is like this ambivalent social thing that we need to like pay deference to, or like that it like actually impacts your day-to-day life in a way that we need to like be cognizant of. It's just you rebranding your metaphysical beliefs. And so for me, I don't think that warrants any kind of different or special argument. If I'm going to argue about your religion and you're going to say, well, I'm not really religious, I'm spiritual. Okay, then I'm going to argue about your spirituality and tell you why it's wrong. And like, unless you can give me a reason not to, why spirituality is a different qualifier that requires a different approach and a different set of, a different, how do you say, there's a word I'm looking for, repulsion from me, then I'm not going to give you anything different. I was trying to say repugnant, but I already used that word earlier, and I couldn't use that in a reflexive way, the way that I wanted to. Anyway, that's how I would go about it. Gabe, does that answer your question?
Yes. I actually had a response to it, but it was since it's going to be my first conversation with that particular person about religion ever. Yeah. I thought it was a shitty response, because my response would have been, okay, that means you believe your own bullshit you made up instead of somebody else's bullshit that they made up. And I think that's a horrible thing I could say for a first conversation.
Bullshit's always bullshit.
So that was true.
Roxanne, do you have anything on that? I don't know if it's up your alley or something you'd be interested in, but like just out of curiosity.
I mean, no. We'll save it for another time. I'm gonna ruminate on that.
Sick. All right, Gabe. Have an awesome rest of your day, man. Thanks so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Take care.
when you were like,
I
can't. When
Sorry?
you said that you almost used the same word twice, it reminded me of that series of TikToks. I don't know if you've seen it recently, where it's like that friend of yours that recently learned big words, and they're like just throwing these words into conversations. They're like the dichotomy of it all.
Yes, love that. I don't know if you're seeing this curl right here. I keep trying to just move it the hell out of the way, and it keeps coming back, and it's driving me fucking insane, dude.
The box of me that I see covers your head, so I can't see from here up on you.
You're fortunate. You're fortunate. We've got one more that I think we could actually tie back a little bit into talking about sexism in a lot of different ways. We've got Abby, pronouns she, her, calling in from Tarnacious Xylophone. What? Who says once talk about demon possession and says that when she was a believer, she thought she was possessed by a demon. So, like, what do people talk about it? What do people think about it? Abby, you are on the line. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you guys?
I'm really good.
You're good. At least I'm good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I have, but not today.
So
tell me about demons.
Yeah, so I grew up, I was born in a third world country as a missionary kid. I grew up a missionary kid and a pastor's daughter to a PCA pastor, which is like the conservative side of Presbyterianism. I am no longer a theist, which is actually something fairly new, but I've been deconstructing my faith since I was very small. I've been asking questions, like challenging, why is God good if there are people who die, if there are children who starve? And I'm neurodivergent, and I've always had a very heavy heart towards those things, and it was something I grappled with a lot. I have been struggling with anxiety and depression since I was about 4. I grew up in a very violent place, very full of what my family called witchcraft. And so, like, there was a lot of heaviness and darkness that maybe it was, projected, but it was something that you could tangibly feel. And so when I was older and living in the States, maybe like 16 years old, I don't remember exactly what was going on in my life at the time. I don't have a good memory, because of anxiety and depression. And so I don't know, like, what the particulars of my mental state at the time were. But I remember going to bed and feeling like there was something in the corner of my room watching me. And it wasn't just like one night, it was every night for several months. And it wasn't just that one span of several months. It went away and then it happened again. And it wouldn't just be like at nighttime, it would be in the day. I was walking from my bedroom to go to the bathroom and I would see something out of the corner of my eye, like a shadow moving. And I felt like I was being mocked by these shadows around me, like they were laughing at me, like they were trying to attack me. And I just remember sitting on my bedroom floor and like screaming and crying and saying, if I am a child of God, why is this happening to me? I thought you weren't supposed to experience this. And, I didn't tell my parents because abuse. And it wasn't until afterwards that, like, I had talked to friends and they prayed for me and I was like, oh, I feel better now. And then it came back several months later. But, like, looking back on it, I don't have an explanation for what happened, even though it feels real. But I know that it wasn't demons, because I'm an atheist now. Yeah. So, like, that's just kind of it. And I just wanted to talk about that and ask, what are your thoughts? Yeah.
So the first thing is, congratulations on your deconstruction. That's great. Secondly is sleep paralysis happens. And there's lots of people who experience it on and off, either just as a one-time event or as a recurring event sometimes, depending on stress or a million other things. And you are thoroughly asleep, but you can't tell, and you're kind of awake, but you're still dreaming and seeing shit, and people see demons and all sorts of things. That happens all the time. There's 1,000,001 explanations for what you went through. That's just the one that it sounds the most like, and who knows, because I wasn't there. But in terms of like what people talk about with demon possession now, Similar to the last call when we talked about, you know, when we talk about spirituality, that was the thing, is it's very difficult to get to Christians or Muslims or whatever, like to talk about the exact same thing when it comes down to demons, because it tends to just be things that they don't like. Harry Potter, Pokemon, you name it. I can hear you. Hold on a second. Okay, that's totally fine. Is everybody else hearing this or just me? Do I look like a crazy person?
I can hear it.
Okay. That's fine. It's no big deal. I'll just say.
If no one else can hear this, does this
ready to
not
connect?
look like we're
Click
being
connect to
possessed
show
by
now.
demons?
You are connected as the host.
Yes, exactly.
Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface.
I don't. Who knows who's hearing all that?
On. Dual
audio
channel.
recordings on. Hell yeah, dual channel, y'all. Sorry, we had an issue with.
I truly wonder if anyone else could hear that, because if the timing of it all when talking about demon possession.
It's so good. What's that, Satan?
Oh, God.
Yes. My body is ready. Abby, can you still hear us?
I can now.
Okay, great. Sorry, we had an issue with our call-in studio thing, and we had to restart, and so the producer talked to us, and then the studio made a bunch of sounds, and some robots talked to us, and we just sounded completely insane. So what we were talking about, I don't know how much that you heard, but I was talking about how this is very similar to spirituality, where like different people can't identify exactly what it is, or the different people who say that this is what's happening can't agree on what exactly, you know, demon possession looks like. What I think is really interesting, though, and what kind of ties into this call, is that when we talk about people who are possessed by demons, they're almost always women who are behaving badly. Just unruly, untamed women's are the thing. And if I can find it, I'm going to let Roxanne, do you want to speak to this for a second while I check something really quick? I'm going to Google a thing to make sure I'm not speaking out of my asshole here.
Yeah, there's a great book called Witches, Sluts, Feminists that kind of talks about how the portrayal of like the witch and the portrayal of like a feminist and sluts too, just completely, the Venn diagram is a circle. It's just women who break the status quo, who do things that defy, you know, the norms, who speak out of turn. Lots of overlap there.
So I'm looking right now for, like, I don't remember. I think it was a video that this woman made, but I could have sworn there was like an article to go along with it. I'm trying to see if I can find it. I don't think I can, but like I saw this woman who's made a really, really good point about the movie The Exorcist, you know, classic horror, right? And she said the reason why it was so incredibly scary for so many people wasn't just that it was religious horror. It wasn't just because there was a scary demon face. It was because a girl was behaving so badly. And it was this girl being sexually promiscuous and deviant and anti-authority and cursing and all this stuff. And especially at that time, that was the thing that really was setting people off. The true horror of The Exorcist was for all these men that were seeing this girl behaving in such a disgusting way. And so like, that's one thing that like kind of sticks out to me when we talk about demon possession and shit like that. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh yeah, there's demons, there's Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh and D&D and all this shit. But also, as Roxanne pointed out, these women are gonna go talk. Oh fuck, we can't have that. You know what I mean? The idea of like the scariest thing about a witch is a woman being in control in a way that you don't understand, and that's fucking crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is very interesting. And I grew up very much suppressing my emotions and my thoughts and my feelings because my dad is a misogynist. And there was a lot of like, oh, you just don't trust God enough. You just don't, you just want control. You won't give him control. And then also you can't control your emotions. What's wrong with you? That kind of thing. So like not only blaming anxiety and depression and panic attacks on like not having enough trust in, you know, their deity, but also in not having enough control over myself. So yeah,
that's such an interesting like paradox of like, let someone else control you, but also why aren't you in more control of your own experience?
Yeah.
It's infuriating.
It's control yourself when you're doing something we don't want you to do, but all the things we do want you to do is obeying the definitely he, him pronouns God.
Right.
I love that. Anytime a theist talks about how much they, you know, don't like pronouns, all these things, just call God she, her. They start caring about pronouns real quick.
Him.
Anyway, Abby, I'm sorry. I don't have like a direct, serious answer to your question because I wasn't there for those experiences. But I can talk about my experience with, you know, people who do believe in demons, and it's one of those things that outside of where it ties into the topics we were covering in the show, it is one of those things that we call an everlasting thought stopper. You know, you can't do that. That's demons. Why? Because it's demons, Abby. You know, it's just because, and so like you don't have to think about it anymore. You don't have to argue about it anymore. You don't have to question it anymore. That's what demons do. That's what the demons want you to do. If you're questioning me, it's because the demons have control over you. And as long as you're doing exactly what I say, that's how I know that the demons aren't there. And it's like that kind of shit. It's just a control mechanism. And it's a very, very, very fucking effective one. So I'm really glad that you're out of there and not having to deal with it anymore.
Me too. I'm very thankful.
Yeah, man. Well, I really appreciate you calling in and waiting for so very long to talk to us. Please do call back again sometime and talk to us about more stuff.
Thank you guys so much for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Sweet.
Bye, Abby.
We've got one more caller on the line. And I'm going to be real honest with you. I am squinting real hard at this call, trying to figure out if this person is a troll. We had Tommy a little bit ago who had a jumbled mess of a phone and ended up dropping. Who knows what was up with that. But this one, like, I don't know if this is a troll or not. The reason why I bring up Tommy is because some people in the chat were convinced that Tommy was just trying to make as much noise as possible. But who knows? This one, however, I'm a bit spurious of, and we'll see what happens. The reason why I'm side-eyeing it, this is, I don't know if I'm saying this name right. Forgive me if this is your name and I'm not using it properly. Chadical? You can tell me how you pronounce your name here in a second. Who's a theist calling in from elongated lemurs, or maybe Illinois. Pronouns he, him, who has here on the call screen, I'm gay, will God forgive me? Now, this is a decidedly atheist and anti-theist show. So, like, I'm going to tell you why this God that you believe in is fucking awful. And I'm happy to have a conversation with you about it. But for you to call in to ask us what your God will do as if we believe it, it makes me raise an eyebrow. So I'm going to start skeptical, and I'm hoping you prove me wrong. But welcome to the line, and please tell me how to pronounce your name, Chadical.
Hi, it's actually it's Chadical.
Chadical.
Close enough, though.
Sick.
Close enough.
I was giving it some little accent and lilt there. Chadical, I gotta be honest, man. Like I said, a
little spice. You're giving a little spice.
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical because, like I said, you're asking me if God will forgive you.
Troll.
Sick. So, why did you want to call? Like, what exactly are you actually asking me here?
Well, I mean, I'm just, I don't know. Well, as a gay man, I just want to know, will God, forgive me? It's a very touchy subject, and, it makes me upset. I mean, I want to know. I really want to know. I'm quite scared.
Why would if being gay was such a problem for your God, why did your God make you gay?
Yeah, I don't know. I never thought about it that way. I mean, I don't know.
Being gay is such a problem.
You guys atheists, or I'm sorry, what exactly are you guys?
Yeah,
you guys.
No, we are both atheists, and this is an atheist call-in show for religious people to call in and challenge our beliefs. So, like, if you believe in a God, we want to talk about that. Why do you believe in a God, and also what God do you believe in?
I believe, it's really, I just don't know. I mean, there's so many things. I mean,
so it's sounding more and more like this is definitely just like a time wasting call, right?
No. I'm sorry. No. I'm not trying to. I'm not trolling. I'm not trolling. I'm not wasting. I'm not trying to waste your time, Forrest. Please.
Because like,
there's so many things. There's so many. Who knows? God works in mysterious ways. Am I right? I mean, who knows?
Let me ask you one other question. Have you ever seen any of these shows before on this channel?
Yeah. I mean, okay. I just kind of want to get to know.
And yet you didn't know that we were an atheist show?
You know what? I always thought the girl was Catholic.
Me?
So Roxanne,
this
who's
is my first
only
time
ever
here.
been here. Yeah, Roxanne, who's only ever been on one other show, which was a different show than this one, and who has stated several times in this show that she never read the Bible.
I guess I must have missed. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, like, you're not only you're a troll, you're a fucking lazy one. Like, you didn't have anything even prepared.
Why are you calling me lazy?
Because this is a shitty troll. Nice. Like, you could have been so fucking interesting, dude. Do you get it? Like, that's what's frustrating is, like, back in my day, trolls were fun. And, like, what you've got here is, like, you had an excellent opportunity to actually string us along with, like, an interesting argument or even a shitty argument. Like, you could have just parroted a different call. And you would have had me, like, talking for, like, 10 minutes.
And die for Nicholas J. Fuentes. Okay?
See, that's what I'm talking about. It's just boring.
Christ,
like, you could have done something funny.
Christ
do you know
king. Christ.
Do you know that a little bit ago I was like talking to somebody about demons?
Forrest.
Do you know about like just a minute ago? That's the best you've got? Is that I'm gonna cry? It's boring, dude. Like that's what's so first of all, I just had a call a second ago where I was talking about demons and shit. You could have called in and be like, I have proof demons are real. And then if you really wanted to get me heated, all you had to do is be like, I know demons are real because they're gay people or some shit like that. Like attack somebody and get me fired up. That would have been like a really like interesting way to like make me upset and get me fired up. And then you could have pulled it out at the very end and be like, oh, surprise, it was all a fucking gag. And then I would have been really annoyed. But instead, I'm just fucking bored. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, if you're going to troll, put some fucking effort into it. Be better than this, man. I'll bring it back on. What is that resonating with you? You understanding?
Oh shit!
Just nothing. No thoughts.
Oh, were you ran? Oh, was I not on the whole time? I was fucking going.
God,
off,
no! You think I'm gonna let? Yeah, you think I'm gonna let you fucking just ramble on the show? And now you're muted again, and it's that easy for me. Do you see how easy it is? See. You think that you've got like some position of authority here. But the thing is, dude, you're still being fucking lazy because you could very easily have come back and been like, oh, you're so fucking self-righteous on your high horse trying to teach me how to troll. Where do you even get off? What, you think you fucking run this show? Jimmy runs the show. You're just an employee. Oh, what, you're gonna fucking do this? You think you're so smart? What a douchebag trying to educate me on things that I didn't ask for. Oh, what a put upon. There's so many things you could be calling me out for right now that would be really fucking funny for you, and you're just not getting it. God, you suck at this, dude. You're a lazy, boring, bad troll. And now I'm going to do something really cool. Check this out. I dropped the fucking call because I can do that because you're fucking bad at your job. God damn. Really boring.
Chad.
Really boring. Would have been fun though.
It's like when I have students that cheat, but they don't even cheat well. Because I teach and I'm like, that's the best you could do. Like,
yeah,
give me something. Like at least make it interesting.
Make me work for it just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have got one more call, and then we'll move on to super chats, and then we'll move. We'll end our show so I can get back to doing the insane things that I'm pulling together. By the way, if you don't know, I'm working on a really cool fucking charity project right now. We're raising money for Doctors Without Borders. And it's going to be a 14 episode long TTRPG adventure where you can fucking watch us, me and a bunch of other influencers play Tales of the Valiant, sponsored by Cobalt Press. And do really cool things. We play just an amazing fucking game where we travel across the land of Gallia and save the world in unexpected ways. And so you should check it out. It's going to be great. And it's all raising money for a good cause. Doctors Without Borders, real actual heroes. We're playing fantasy heroes. These are real actual heroes doing real actual work on the ground, saving real actual lives here in the real actual world. So
love that.
Check that out. I want to send you, I'm not gonna, but I want to send you the trailer that I made so I can just like get your reaction to it here on camera. But I'm not going to do it right now. I'll just tell you later. We've got one more call.
I'll record my reaction for you and send it to you so you can see.
Hell yeah. Don't actually do that because it sounds cringy as fuck for me to have that video.
I'd be like,
oh my goodness, it's so great. Oh man. We've got Katy, pronoun she, her, calling in from the US of A. She is the theist who wants to talk about biological determinism and the bell curve. Again, this should either be a really interesting call or a really fucking annoying one. We'll see what happens. I also want to point out that we had like fucking a dozen theists in the chat this time, all talking about like how like easily they could teach us things about Jesus. Nobody calls in. It's like,
come teach us.
Hey, we've got Katy wants to talk about biological determinism. Let's see what that is. Katy, you are on the line. How are you doing today?
Hi. I'm doing okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, cool. Sorry. My phone has been a little glitchy lately. I was just calling to talk about, as you saw, biological determinism. Forrest, I know you're a biologist.
What specifically are you talking about there?
So there's this book called The Bell Curve. And the other day I was watching one of your guys' old shows. And I was kind of unsettled because, Forrest, you had quoted this guy who I had seen be a big proponent of the bell curve. That there's this dude named Sam Harris who I've only ever heard of in like really bad connotations, and you had quoted him, and I was like, no way, that's the same dude. That's got to be a different guy. But I googled
Sam Harris,
and I thought like he has. Oh,
yeah, Sam Harris, like most public intellectuals, has some good takes and some bad takes. So if I was referencing Sam Harris, I was probably referencing his book, The Moral Landscape, which I enjoyed like 8 years ago. Maybe there's something in there problematic that I didn't catch since then. But like, that's pretty much the only thing that I ever reference Sam Harris about is like his discussions of like objective reasons for morality.
Okay, so yeah, basically I was just trying, because I saw you and Guts Gibbon had a lot of videos talking crap about like scientific racism and all that, and it just really threw me for a loop. So like, y'all aren't necessarily like there's no like ideological agreement on like because like me personally, I think the Bell Curve book is bullshit. I think it's pseudoscience.
So I just looked it up, and the Bell Curve is, I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. A book in which the authors argue that human intelligence is substantially influenced in both inherited and environmental factors, and it is a better predictor of personal outcomes, including financial outcome, job performance, birth out of wedlock, blah, blah, blah. And it's a highly controversial book because the authors discuss connections between like race and intelligence and things like that. And so it kind of leads a lot of race realists to say, aha, look, see, white people are smarter or things like that. Is that the same book you're talking about?
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. Fuck that dumb shit.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then I was also wanting to I know the question was kind of pointed at you, Forrest, but I was also wanting to get the opinion of I'm so sorry. I looked you up just a moment ago on Google and saw you were a social psychologist. So I was wanting to get your take on that. Oh God. What?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I forgot your name. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I'm Roxanne. Thank you for calling, Katie. Can you kind of repeat or specify exactly what you want my take on?
So basically, like I don't know, like is there, like, I don't, like, for anyone that's like in the audience that like might believe it, because like I'm not necessarily like here to argue, because I think we agree probably. Well, at least it seems like Forrest does. But like I know outside factors do affect human psychology, like, you know, biology, but I don't think like everything I've learned about humans recently, like with evolution, is that like we're so genetically similar to each other, and that like if there is anything to affect like intelligence, it would be more like material conditions and like the culture you grow up in. And I'm just kind of wanting to try to see like if there's science behind that, because I'm not a scientist.
If I can throw out a couple of things. Yeah, if I can throw out a couple of things, and then I think, Roxanne, you can probably just demolish the rest of this. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, because like all I would say, because I could talk about this for a minute, but not nearly as well as you could. So this all I would throw out there is like there is shit like that from like that I would study in my field, like neuroscience speaking. If you are raised in a really stressful environment with like serious food insecurity and high cortisol levels and shit, it actually damages like your frontal lobe, and so you actually have a problem with like decision making, critical thinking, consequence, and things like that throughout your life. So if you have somebody, you're going to call them stupid as an adult because they, you know, fucking did a bunch of whippets while driving or some shit like that. What you actually could be asking is, what was your childhood like? And did you ever struggle for food? Because that might be a lot better at explaining this than just like, why didn't you think it through? Maybe you couldn't. That's a thing that I would throw out there. And then in terms of like how that expands to environmental factors and whatnot, there isn't like, obviously race isn't an actual thing, biologically speaking. So like people trying to apply that to whatever, if they're not doing it in a social context of just like grouping ethnic groups, they're probably fucking stupid. And especially if they're trying to say, well, here's these genetic factors that are going into this. As far as I know, that's not a fucking thing. And what is a thing is that like literally anybody, as a blank slate kind of philosophy, can learn just about any fucking thing. And that's what's really important to remember, is that education is still an active area of research. We still aren't entirely sure if people have that blank slate or not, or if there's like some people that are more predisposed in one way or the other. And maybe someone just has a natural talent for this kind of knowledge versus that kind of knowledge. And that's where that whole Albert Einstein quote comes in with like, if you judge a fish by its ability to ride a bicycle, it'll think it's stupid its whole life. Some people just are better at fucking math, and some people are just fucking better at music, and some people are just fucking better at literature, and some people are just fucking better at this or that. Talent's a thing. We don't know why it's a thing, but it's a thing. And so all that is to say, yes, environmental factors play a part of this, and yes, sometimes you can trace environmental factors back to ethnicity in social context. But to then try to draw a line out of that and say, well, that means people who look like this are going to behave like this, like that, you're just being fucking stupid. And you're doing kind of like social Darwinism with extra steps. And I don't like that. It's a problem. Anyway, that's everything I have. Roxanne, I'm sure you have some serious fucking resources here.
No, I mean, I agree with everything that you said. And then I'm thinking about, I haven't read The Bell Curve. I've heard a lot about it. And I'm pretty sure that is mainly focused on like IQ testing, which has been shown time and time again, like to not be accurate in terms of actually measuring intelligence. And I can't remember if this is something that was asked on questionnaires like before immigrants could come to America in like the 40s, or if this was on an early IQ test, but it would ask things like, do you know what Crisco is? Like things that are culturally American or like specific to a culture that if you don't answer, you score poorly on the IQ test, but it's not a marker of intelligence. It's like, you know, it's systemically designed to exclude certain groups of people. So I feel like anytime you're talking about like, and this could even go back to what we were talking about before the show about like how human bias enters like these objective things like AI or a test, right? You think a standardized test is supposed to be like an objective measure of intelligence, but it's being designed by people that are biased, that have biases, that like come from certain backgrounds, and the questions and the way that they ask questions are going to be a reflection of the biases that they hold. So yeah, I mean, fuck IQ tests, and like standardized tests too, right? We see, I'm pretty sure we see differences, not just in like socioeconomic status predicting standardized test scores, but also race and ethnicity. And it's not because poor people and people of color are dumb. It's because they don't have the systemic access to learn how to take those fuck-ass tests with these stupid questions that are tailored a very specific way, right? It's not a measure of intelligence or capability. And being in like the higher education space lately, we talk a lot about like them not being accurate predictors of performance throughout college, or not being an accurate predictor of someone entering a grad program because they don't measure what they're supposed to measure. Mm-hmm. So those are my contributions.
Yeah, no, I love that, those answers, honestly. I didn't even know the thing about IQ being debunked. So no, and I've met people in real life who believe, I don't know, they've never quoted that bell curve book to me. I've only ever saw that on the Michael Brooks show, but like the thing, like I've seen so many people make that argument where it's like people, like before I even knew what paranthropist was, people were saying that like white people are the Neanderthal descendants and like black people are descended from paranthropists, which is like not even genetically, there's no fucking evidence for that. And also that's like just dehumanization. Even, well, I guess Paranthropus was kind of human, but like you get what I'm saying.
No, Paranthropus wasn't human. Paranthropus was an offshoot of Australopithecus, but like usually they'll say like Homo erectus or what's the other one that they usually, Homo ergaster. They'll say Homo ergaster turned into black people, and the Neanderthals turned into white people, and the Denisovans turned into Asians. And basically what this is, it's that stems from, so there were two major hypotheses for like how Homo sapiens came about. One was out of Africa too, which is that Homo sapiens evolved in Africa and then left Africa. Out of Africa, one was in Homo erectus, did exactly that same thing. But like, about 1 million or so, almost 2 million years beforehand. The other idea was what was called the multi-regional hypothesis, which is that we know for sure when Homo sapiens did evolve, all these other species of humans were around all over the place. And so the idea was that like we interbred with these different species of humans and therefore developed into different races. And that has been like thoroughly dismissed. Just is not a fucking thing. It's not reasonable at all. But race realists, fucking idiots, but I repeat myself, tend to then glom onto that and be like, this was something that was referenced in a science paper once. Therefore, clearly, this is how we got white people. And because Neanderthals had very big brains, white people were very smart now. And what I love to do whenever you talk about that shit, you just bring up this cool fossil called Cheddar Man. Cheddar Man was found in England, had blue eyes and dark skin, and racists hate that shit. And there's a lot of people that are like, we don't know for sure what his skin color was, except we have ancient DNA from those fossils and we can actually learn a lot. And so like, it's just kind of funny that like this English dude was black with blue eyes and you don't like it all. That's the whole thing, is that humans evolved in Africa. The very first humans were black. The reason why I look like I do is because my ancestors diverged and went up to like the northern half of the world about 100,000 years ago, and over the course of like 100,000 years, haven't had like a lot of direct sunlight or vitamin D in food and grains and stuff. And so we got lighter skin so we could absorb enough UV light to produce enough vitamin D to have healthy bones. So like I didn't need as much sunblock, but I did need some vitamin D. And that's why our skin got lighter. And the very first humans were black because they lived in an area which had way more UV radiation. And if you get too much of that shit, then it destroys folic acid in your skin, and you have babies who are born with like spina bifida and shit. And that's why folic acid to this day is a neonatal vitamin or prenatal vitamin that pregnant people take all the time to make sure their babies have healthy spines. So like literally every defining racial characteristic you can think of, quote, has an evolutionary history to it and is very, very recent, relatively speaking. So if you're a racist, first of all, fuck you. And second of all, you're fucking upset about 100,000-year-old sunburns. Get the fuck over it, you fucking snowflakes. That's a whole thing. If you're interested in learning more about this, you or anybody else watching this, I recommend this book. It's really fucking great, and it's not too long. It's a textbook. It's called Race, Are We So Different? And this is published by Wiley Blackwell from the American Anthropological Association. And it's fucking awesome. And it's got this whole chapter on how the concept of race was created, because it wasn't a thing for a long time. Again, it's a social construct, not a biological one. And it wasn't really a thing, like, globally until the American slave trade. And we were like, hey, we have to come up with a reason why these humans aren't actually humans. Maybe it's because they're different. And we can label those differences and then have a reason to dehumanize and torture and enslave people. It has a whole chapter on the biological mechanisms that create a racial characteristics, and it's awesome. And about how it's there is normal human biological variation, and that does not equate to the boxes that we draw around races, and how the boxes that we draw around races have changed significantly over the past couple of centuries, especially the past few decades. Irish people and Jews and Italians weren't Italians. None of these people were considered white. Yes, Italians weren't white, right? Everything. It's just fucking shit, dude. It covers a lot of cool stuff like that. And it just teaches some really important lessons. And I think the most important lesson is that the concept of whiteness is fucking stupid. And I've talked about this on the show before, but if you think about it, white is the only racial group that we define by exclusion. If you have some black ancestry, you are black. If you have some Mexican ancestry, you are Mexican. If you have some Asian ancestry, you are Asian. Why do we call Obama black when he's half black, half white? Because any black is black. White is defined by being not anything else. We define ourselves by exclusion, which is a huge part of the reason why there's an inherent racist mentality and supremacist spin to what we use to define ourselves. It's fucking horseshit. It's stupid. It's problematic from the outset. And it's completely unfucking scientific. All reasons why you should fucking do away with the thought.
Poor Katie, just hear all of that.
I'll go on a whole fucking thing about it. It's so stupid.
Like y'all have armed me with like way more facts to like argue with racist people about this shit. Again, to be honest, where I live now, I don't encounter it as much as I used to. But if I do again, like I had no idea that stuff about the IQ test or how they would ask about Crisco or all those biology factoids you just dropped. Like
the IQ test. The one thing I learned.
I remember.
Sorry.
Watch it.
That's fine. I remember the IQ test thing. The IQ. The book is Race, Are We So Different? I have the second edition. You can buy this on Amazon. It's not expensive. And this is again from the American Anthropological Association. It's an easy read. It's really good shit. I remember fucking learning about IQ tests being bullshit when somebody was teaching like that. It'll have like a question like, what's the best path from point A to point B on this map, and it'll have like a straight line or like one ziggy zaggy weird line, and like it doesn't say what's the shortest, it say what's the best. And so someone from our industrialist, individualist society is like, yes, straight line, make money. Whereas, some Polynesian person is like, well, this is the more beautiful path. This is the more fun one to walk. So I'm going to pick that one. It's like, oh, you're stupid then. It's like, no, I'm just not a fucking capitalist.
Right.
Yeah. And like, it's like you were saying, Roxanne, it's like a cultural thing. It's like people take their cultural shit and they're like, well, obviously this is the right way. This is the superior way. And if other people disagree, then we're just going to like think a bunch of racist shit about them. Like, I don't know. But anyway, I appreciate y'all the answers. That was really good. I know you can't speak for the whole line for us, but I presume because I saw that a gentleman that I've seen on the program a lot called his name is Matt Dillahunty, and I saw he was associated with Sam Harris as well. And I know you probably can't speak for him, but I presume that no one on the line believes this bell curve stuff.
So I can say that's probably a good estimation, and I can also say that Matt did do some talking with Sam Harris. He also did some talking with Richard Dawkins a few times.
And
we
don't. Christopher Hitchens was associated too, and like when you said earlier about like I like to quote him on some things and some others, like Christopher Hitchens is someone I think has got some good, or he's passed away now, but he had really good opinions about like socialism and that kind of stuff, and then like the Iraq War, I was like no.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Everybody who's ever had a statue built about, so I believe it was the great American poet Captain Malcolm Reynolds, who once said, anybody who's ever had a statue built of them was one kind of son of a bitch or another. And so like, yeah, we Matt has done a bunch of interviews and speaking tours with all these famous scientists, and some of those famous scientists turned out to have some really shitty opinions later on down the line. I've spoken about that quite a bit. Richard Dawkins was my hero for a long time because I loved teaching about evolution and debating about religion. And then he came out and decided to just be like really shitty about biological sex and gender and be really transphobic and shit for no fucking reason. And now we're not, we were never friends, but like now I never met the guy, but now I only have negative things to say about that. And that fucking sucks. So like, lots of people contain multitudes. And if you stand up for one thing that somebody says is right, if fucking Hitler said 2 + 2 is 4, I'd be like, yeah, but like the rest of you, fuck off. You know what I mean? Like that's so. Yeah. Don't assume that someone's don't assume that we agree with everything somebody says if we're just quoting their expertise on a thing. You know what I mean? There's a lot of Darwin has a lot of shitty beliefs, but I'm still a biologist.
Yeah. Well, also. That dude lived like 200 years. I'm sure he believed in like slavery and stuff. I don't know.
Actually, no. But, he was actually staunchly anti-slavery because of his understanding of evolution. He thought that he understood that all people were related and all came from the same place, and therefore he found slavery abhorrent. He also had some really shitty racist beliefs, like with the bell curve, about how black people were just naturally less intelligent. So like. There was some give and take there. There was a lot of shitty things and a lot of really progressive things because he was a dude. He was a guy living at a time. And so, yeah.
He was a guy living at a time.
Yeah. So, fuck those things that he said. The Descent of Man is hot trash. And The Origin of Species is pretty good. And those are like the 2 most famous books that he wrote. Katy, I do got to ask you, though. I see you've called in before, and I want to know, like, how are you going on your journey? It says you're still a theist, but, like, you're just referencing fucking Hitchens here. Like, what's going on?
Well, I never knew he was really much of an atheist till I Googled to see if the Sam Harris you were talking about was the same guy I saw. There's another gentleman who named Michael J. Brooks who, like, made a really, really big impact on me. And the only time I ever heard Sam Harris' name was when Michael Brooks would talk about him, and it was always talking shit. So it just kind of threw me off. But no, Chris Richards, I've only seen him in talking about like economics and like how like imperialism is bad, which really just threw me off. How he, anyway, not to go off about him, but
No, it's fine. Hitchens was a Marxist for a long time, and then changed at the very end and was much more capitalist and talking about a bunch of shit, and like that's the whole thing. Sam Harris, I usually reference. He's a neuroscientist, so I've referenced him when he talks about religion and neuroscience. I've referenced him when he talks about morality. He's also said some, like, in my opinion, really fucking brainless shit about like the genocide in Palestine and like, oh, why aren't you upset about all the other wars and stuff? And it's like, dude, come on.
For real.
So, but yeah, it's. I just wanted to check. Like, are you still holding on to theism right now? Like, what's going on with that?
I remember last time. I don't know if you remember when I called last time. But you had told me you're like, don't look for reasons to not believe, look for reasons to believe, and if you can't find any, then don't. And like, I don't know, I've been watching the show like when I've been like driving like to work and stuff, and there's a lot of times where like you guys have so many callers call in and they'll be like, well, I feel this and I feel that and my emotions, and like when I hear them, I'm like, yeah, I relate with that, I feel that, and then you kind of just like and some of y'all are so savage. I love it. It's really funny. how you'll just be like, we don't give a shit about your opinions or your so I still haven't really found an objective material reason. I don't know. I'm still like, I still find myself praying to God a lot. And I don't know. I used to do that a lot when I was younger, when I was going through a lot of real rough shit. And it really helped me. And now I'm just like at a point where I'm just like, I'd almost feel like I'd be like betray God by not believing in, and then I see it. I don't even want to say in him, because it's like that just is like a reflection of patriarchy. Like I have a friend who's really into like new age crystals and all that stuff, and refers to God as goddess. And like,
yeah,
I've been talking with them about it, and a lot of my other friends, and one of them is just a straight up atheist. And she was like, one day you'll realize you're just talking to your voice in your head, Katie. And I'm just like, oh,
so
okay,
let me ask you this.
But at this point, it's like
something
I have personal. Oh, I'm sorry.
Something that you said really stuck out to me is you said that you'd feel like you were betraying this God by not believing in him anymore. Like, just if this God was real, and if this God was really loving and kind and really loved you and all this stuff, and gave you a brain, and you ended up using it and kind of looking for evidence and looking for reasons, and you can't find any, and you decide, you know what, this really doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't like the implications of this. It just doesn't work for me. And you decide not to believe in it. Would it really be a betrayal? Would that really be hurting his feelings so much just to know that you just weren't sure if he was there? Like, is that something that's punishable or like hurtful to just say you were asking questions and you found some different answers than what maybe he wanted? Wouldn't it be on him then to be like, yo, here I am, surprise, bitch, check me out, this is what I gotta do, you know what I mean? Wouldn't that be the thing that, you know, why is the onus on you to believe in spite of your best efforts to not, or in spite of your reason, because you don't want to betray, rather than the onus on him to show the fuck up and be like, yo, hey, I'm me, I'm doing these things?
No, that's a really good question. Oh God, I'm trying to come up with an answer.
It sounds like he's a big baby.
No, for real. And like my like belief in hell is like completely disintegrated. I mean, it kind of already did before I started watching this program, but like,
good.
Yeah, it's just, no, that's a good point, because it's like you're basically saying, it's like if I was given this brain and I used it, why is that bad?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. Check out, you just said that you just found Hitchens, and that you heard him talk about economics and politics and stuff.
I've known about him for a few years just because of Michael Brooks. Michael Brooks talks about him a lot.
Have you seen any of his discussions on religion and like the things that he was a big part of his career was debating religion? Have you seen any of that?
That I just learned about. They never really talked about him being an atheist. It was always about like talking shit about capitalism, but or talking shit about him being longer with Iraq and like Palestine. Because he made a heel turn.
Yeah, I found Hitchens a long time ago. I strongly recommend his book, God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. I loved his shit. And, as with everybody, he had some shitty takes. And there were a lot of times when he was just an unreasonable asshole for reasons that for no fucking reason. Like, he just didn't have to be. And so, like, there's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't want to be exactly like Hitchens. But like, he had a lot of really good shit to say too, and there's a lot of things that I agree with that he said. So check him out. Keep checking him out, and see if you like what he has to say, and call back with more questions if you want.
No, I think I will. I'm trying to get back into reading again, because I kind of stopped for a few years. But what was the name again? It was a very explicit title. Or wait, I could just rewind the show. I'm sorry. You don't have to keep reading.
It's okay. No, the book is God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. And it's a fucking phenomenal book, and I believe there's a whole ass audio book narrated by him that's like free on YouTube. You can watch if you want to listen to it. But he goes over a lot of things that are really compelling, in my opinion. And he talks about the title of the book is not just like an attention grabber. Like, that is exactly what he does. He goes over several different points of society and life and everything, and talks about how religious belief corrupts it and detracts from it. And it is why Christopher Hitchens was a massive influence on me. He's why I would call myself an anti-theist today, because his explanations of how carcinogenic religion can be really helped shape, my argument style, and really helped inform me on like where to go out and start doing research next, and like learning more about just how toxic and corrosive religion is to societies. So check it out.
Yeah, no, I think I will. Thank you for the rec. Before I hang up, I don't think I have much else to ask about the biological determinism thing, but is it cool if I recommend a book to you and Roxanne about this topic that I think is really, really good? Okay, it's written by an evolutionary biologist. I think his name is Philip C. Scott. No. Sorry, that's another good author, but Philip something, and the book is called The Mismeasure of Man.
Ooh, sounds good.
Yeah, and it's an old book. It's from like I think the 90s or the 80s.
Oh, that's by Stephen Jay Gould.
Before its time. Yeah, and he was a historian and a evolutionary biologist. So unlike that
very famous
book.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and guess this looks like it's really tearing down phrenology and a bunch of other dumb shit. So yeah, dude, Gould is a fucking rock star, yo, and that's one that I haven't read that one of his, so I'll definitely be checking it out.
Very cool.
Nice. And anyone in the audience, if you believe in that bell curve nonsense, go read The Mismeasure of Man and go learn from a real scientist. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Y'all have a good night.
5 seconds. All right, take care, Katie. See you later. Bye. Super nice person. Yeah, Stephen Jay Gould's fucking awesome. He was the one who developed the concept of punctuated equilibrium. Really, really fucking.
I don't know what that is.
The one who came up. Punctuated equilibrium. So when we look at the fossil record, we see rather than just the super slow change from one thing to the next over a long period of time, we do see that. But what we also, when we look at like the really big picture, we see like this sudden break where we get just a fuckload of diversification of new things, and then it's pretty stagnant for a while, and then a sudden diversification again. And you can
like ADHD.
Overlay. Yeah.
Like me, where I get a burst and my whole house is clean, and then I rot for a week.
Precisely. And what's really cool is you can look at like overlay that with like mass extinctions, and you notice a pattern where like there's life is kind of stable, and then there's this mass extinction, and it opens up a tremendous amount of niches where like there's all these ways of life that now the thing living in that way has been obliterated. And so something new fills that space, and then you get what's called adaptive radiation, where that one thing diversifies into like 50 different specialized forms of that one thing. And so you had this open spot that now you get a bunch of things. You can also tie it into what's called niche partitioning, which is one of my favorite things in ecology that we don't have time for today. But it's really cool. Okay. And interestingly enough, it's one of the things that creationists love to use to try to say that evolution isn't real, because there's no slow change. It's just all of the sudden there's fucking whales, and all of the sudden there's fucking birds, and all of the sudden there's this and that. And it's like, yeah, dude, that's how fucking,
shit works.
And you're showing me gradualism and punctuated equilibrium aren't competing theories. They both happen, and it's cool like that. And like, if you understood it, you'd be excited about it instead of like trying to use good science to make bad science happen. Creationists who were in the chat and didn't call, talking to you. With that, it's about time for super chats. Are you ready for them?
Bring it on.
Hell yeah. All right. We've got Storm Chaser Noah, who sent $10 to say, be safe tomorrow, Forrest. Don't tell me what to do. I know you live in the alley. I do. I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Be a good chance of Spinny Boys. We were supposed to have them today too. We were under tornado watch this whole time. I was really prepared to like lose power or have to bow out and go shelter, but like, yeah, just gotten blue balled by a tornado today. Thank you very much, though. It's very kind of you. 20 theoretical dollars from Nasacius. Locard's exchange principle in forensic science says all contact leads a trace. Yes. Should not the evidence needed to prove theism be the trace evidence one would expect from contact with a personal, interactive God. Yeah, dude, if you pray and you get your prayers answered, we should be able to get like some sort of like slime off of you, some sort of residue, ectoplasm, something. I love that. $5 a monkey, a typewriter. Lots of pushback against progress is a fear of being forced to consider empathy, context, and nuance. It's like they're offended by thinking. I think that's probably to do with the call about having super conservative parents and things.
Oh, I was thinking about the compliments of context. But yeah. No. You're right. You're so right. I forgot we had that call.
No, it's reasonable. That's a big fat maybe. The compliments thing is also like, yeah, you need to think about what you're saying and not just blurt out, fucking, oh, nice cans to every person who walks down the road. You need to consider what you're actually saying. Yeah, I think it does go both ways. $5 from LHRPG official. I created Roland the Closet Goblin for D&D. He's going to be an NPC in my upcoming one-shot. What personality trait should I lean into with playing him? You know what? Roland works in mysterious ways. And so, I don't know if you're familiar with what we're talking about, Roxanne.
Nope.
This is an
ongoing
bit. Yeah, it's an ongoing bit where people, when theists do call us and try to give us some sort of like really strong evidence, it always boils down to like,
oh, you explained this to me last time. Actually, I think we got a similar question, and then it's coming back.
Yep.
He lives
would
in the
you
closet.
believe the same? Yes, if I said the exact same thing about Roland the Goblin in my closet, would you believe me? And so he's kind of just become a thing on most of the atheist shows that I do. He kind of hangs around in the comment section or in the background or something like that. Honestly, you know what? Aside from the fact that he lives in closets and he loves sandwiches, I don't know too much about him. So, like, really, Roland is yours to design and develop however you want. Make him grant somebody a wish. Make him real cool. I bet he likes reggae. If I had to guess something about Roland, I would bet that he's a fan of Collie Buddz, and I would bet that he is real fucking chill. That's what I would bet. You know what I mean? I am also a fan of Collie Buddz. But like, that's just, maybe I'm projecting that onto him, but that's something that I think is real good. I'm going to put a song in the chat right now. Collie Buddz, she give me love. She give me love, give me love, give me love, give me good love. Sorry?
I'm intrigued by this question. When taking compliments, I think another important factor is implied intent. Why do I think you're saying it? Yeah, I completely agree with that. I feel like I thought that I kind of implied that, which is funny. But yeah, it's like, what is the goal? Is it because you genuinely want me to like feel nice and pleasant and be acknowledged for this cool thing? Or is it because you want something from me?
Yeah. I just put that song in the chat, by the way, and that was my wedding dance song. That was Amber and I danced that song at when we became married. So check that song out. It's really good. Next. The next one. Thank you for the $5, Derwin Akins. I think is how you pronounce that. The next one.
Yeah.
Unless we don't have a next one. Is that it? I think. There we go. Yes. $10 from Iota. Iota of what? This community helped me accept my own thoughts after years of self-doubt and confusion. Thank you all. Thank you for being a part of this community and making it better, because stories like yours and things like that help other people who are still in the closet and who are trying to learn and trying to get okay with themselves. So, like, thank you for being here. We're happy you're around. Chasing Error sent $9.99 of their own money. I'm celebrating my 3rd year as an atheist. Thank you for all you do. Well, thank you. That's awesome. Congratulations. I hope that your life is better now. And it's probably full of a little bit more anxiety than it was before, but I hope that's worth it for you, because I think it's worth it for me. LHRPG official sent another $5, Jesus Christ, to say, I award everyone working tonight an inspiration token for what an amazing craziness with the tech. Hashtag go fuck yourself, Jimmy. Love that. Hell yeah, inspiration tokens. I've needed one before, and I'll use it. Monkey at Typewriter sent $5 more to say, any favorite science headlines? The nitrogen fixing organelles thing is weird. Congrats, Dr. Professor. Is it Felig? Is it one syllable?
Felig.
I want to make sure I'm saying it right. I really enjoy your voice in this space.
I have a favorite headline. Wait. Yeah, hold on. Let me find it.
Okay. I'll do the same.
Hot academic study tests Cardi B's claim that a hoe never gets cold, because that was my research.
Brilliant. Love that. Yeah, I don't have one like off the top of my dome because I kind of just like hear things as they happen. I don't get to do a lot of reading things. My favorite headline that I got to read recently was non-coding RNAs as regulators of gene expressions and epigenetics. Fuck yeah. It's cool as shit. And if you want to talk about it, I've got like 5 minutes to do it.
I'm trying to think if there's anything interesting that I've seen recently. I did see a really interesting, well, it's not necessarily cool, but a headline about how gender bias is more prominent in images than in text presently online. Like biases. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. I love that. Wasn't that you and I we talked about it before the show. I don't remember if you actually said it during the show. We were talking about AI and gender bias and AI.
We didn't cover it. Not cover. Next time.
Next time. Yeah, it's a neat concept. You talk about gender bias and AI. I'll talk about microRNAs and how they do post-transcriptional gene regulation.
And we'll have like a conversation where like I'll say something and you'll respond tonally, but you'll be talking about something completely different. And then we just keep going. Sounds incredible.
That would be genuinely funny. $4.99 from Swamp Woman Making Oreos. I love the image of what that is. Shout out to everyone involved in tonight's show. What a fun night. Roxanne, you seem like an absolute delight.
I live in Florida. I'm a swamp woman.
Hell yeah. Forrest, a joy as always. Thank you to all. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. $5 from Ez Jail. I'm not sure which is more ridiculous. I don't believe in pronouns or Pascal's wager for an omniscient God. You know what though? If you believe in, I don't believe it. I love that. If you don't believe in pronouns and trans people turn out to be real, then you'll be canceled. But if you do believe in pronouns and they're not, then all that you were was a good person. Pascal's wager. Enjoy it. We've connected them. We've made it happen. Jesse Jerdak's in the chat. Hello, Jesse Jerdak. I'm so glad to see you. We're going to be on a show together. If you out there are a fan of Jesse Jerdak, he's going to be hosting Skeptalk with me in May, I believe May 27th, the last Monday in May. So tune into that one. And if you're not a fan of Jesse Jerdak yet, why? You have to check the dude out. You haven't caught up. He's a really cool guy. Good knees. But yeah, thank you for being here, dude. So excited to see you in the thing. Next chat. We got $6.66 hard-earned monies from Jonathan. Song lyrics. It's not too late for you. It's not too late for me to find my homeland where a man can stand by another man without an ego flying. Is that a song? Or are you just telling me to sing that? I'm not going to sing that. I don't know what lyrics, what melodies I go
now.
to. It's not too late
for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To find my homeland where a man can stand by another man. I don't know what the fucking is. This opera? Is it folk? Thank you for the $6 though. Where are we going to spend all those $6? Thank you. $4.99 from C_W. Clarence Walker. Sounds like somebody who owned a chiropractor. It's not a chiropractic clinic. Owned a chiropractor. Yeah. I don't know what I mean either. Great show tonight, Forrest and Roxanne. Thank you for your kindness. I'm sorry I'm so fucking stupid. I appreciate it. It's very kind of you. $5 monkey at typewriter. Forrest, dude, let me teach you trolling. Your commitment to education is so inspiring. I won't. Well, child dissection runs away. I regret nada. I didn't threaten to dissect this person's child. I encouraged the dissection of this person's child, and they haven't let me live it down since. And like, I'm saying I'm fucking busy until like August. But if you catch me after that, maybe we have some time. We can do some dissecting. We can be friends instead of enemies. You know what I mean? All it will cost you is a son. $5 from Mahalia Laga. Thank you both. Roxanne, 2 questions. Have you read the Dune series? And if yes, what do you think of the social dynamics of Herbert from 1965?
I have not read the Dune series. Should I? Have you?
I have not. I hear it's dope.
No?
No, I've never sat down
Maybe
with it. I have a hard time reading fiction.
Me too. I just posted a video because I was like, here's my reading list as a social psychologist who doesn't know how to read for fun. And like every book was like like a fucking social psych adjacent, like pop science book. And but maybe I will. Now that I'm done with a PhD, maybe I will. Who knows?
My catch-up pile over here, I've got I just grabbed so I've got my catch-up pile over here. Some of these are things that I've already recommended on this channel, but I just like I want to go back and reread some chunks of The Dawn of Everything, which is all about anthropology. I've got Noam Chomsky on Miseducation over here. I've got Braiding Sweetgrass over here. Here I've got this dope comic book, A History of Feminism. It's all fucking like graphic novel style. I want to go back through that. And I've got fucking Mutual Aid by Peter Kropotkin that I want to go back through. And I'm stacking all of those at this moment on top of my fucking epigenetics textbook that I'm trying to go back through and do a thing because I've got to give my final presentation for the semester is going to be on fucking evolution of fucking of mammalian histones. How exciting is that? Histone proteins.
That sounds so exciting.
Yeah, fucking everybody in the chat, get hyped over histones because histones are real cool. If you're not fucking stoked about like serine residues and what they can do, what those residues do's, you know what I mean? Fucking histone deacetyltransferases. I just made up that word. It's actually just deacetylases. So the things that attach acetyl groups are called histone acetyltransferases, but the things that remove them are just called deacetylases. It's easier. So I had made up a funny word, but
that does make sense.
Funny, yeah. Sorry, I'm excited.
Ooh, another book.
Yeah, by the way, read the fucking Dune series is what we got to. $9.99 from Jay Solice. I just finished Bell Hook's book, Feminism for Everybody, and was wondering if you guys had more books like it. Also, I don't understand why a lot of feminist ideas you guys talk about are called radical, right?
Because
the radical idea that, I mean, yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head there.
Okay, book recommendations. If you liked that by Bell Hooks, I would recommend other books by Bell Hooks, specifically Ain't I a Woman? I also recommend Against White Feminism. I'm reading that now. I haven't read it, but I've heard good things about Hood Feminism. And then a book, it's a bit older, but it was one of the first kind of like intersectional feminist books that I read that really shaped my academic career, is This Bridge Called My Back. And I think that's really, I mean, I could suggest other books that are like feminist adjacent, but I'll just stop there because I think those are most closely aligned with Bell Hooks.
I also like Bell Hooks with Teaching to Transgress. That one's really fucking cool. Education as a Practice of Freedom. Teaching you, because she was big. She kind of like developed critical theory, which is a huge fucking thing for my pedagogical style, my education theory that I adhere to most. Critical theory is the idea that you a child, for those who don't know, like the idea that somebody's educational life is completely inseparable from their political life, their social life, their economic life, their racial life, their gendered life, like all that intertwined. And so you can't just expect a child to like leave their personality at the door and just be a robot that comes here to learn, you know? Also check out Invisible Women.
Exposing data bias. That's one that I would recommend if we're moving beyond like the theoretical kind of That if you've seen my series on TikTok, It's a Man's World, almost everything that I talk about has been covered in that book. It's the way that the world was literally built for men's bodies and experiences, and
I remember the very first. Sorry,
I was also going to recommend Down Girl by Kate something. That's a really good one too. But
right on.
Keep going.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I remember like the first fucking like I think it's either the first or second chapter. I don't remember. Like the very beginning of this book, they're talking about like I think it's like snow plowing as an act of feminism or something like that. And it's like this really kind of absurd, like, what are you talking about? And they talk about how like when it snows in this like wherever the fuck it is that it snows frequently, if you plow all the main roads for people to get to work, that's really just you're doing it just for dudes who are working, whereas stay-at-home moms are now still slipping and sliding all over their neighborhoods. But if you switch it and you plow all the neighborhoods and leave the main roads, the cars clear the snow off the main roads anyway as they're driving through. It melts as people are passing over it. Meanwhile, mothers walking with strollers around their neighborhoods aren't slipping on the ice as much. And so when they plowed the neighborhoods, the exact same economic results, but also hospitalizations went down because women weren't being hurt when they're stuck at home. And like, it was this cool, like, just like you already have this fucking like gender stratified society, but you could use fucking like civil services to make it a little bit more egalitarian. Why don't you? Because you're not even paying attention to them. You know what I mean? It's I don't know. The level of like detail and shit like that just blew my fucking mind. I used the book, especially. I'm sorry, I got on a fucking tangent about that. I'm stoked about it. I think they also talked about one part where they were talking about like video games and how like men won't want to play as a woman in a video game because it's like unrealistic. It takes them out. It's like, so being a fucking Italian plumber who can slurp through a pipe and being a space marine, like those things realistic. Are like, yes.
It stops at women.
You attach breasts to the space marine, and that's insanity. It's so fucking funny, dude. Next one. The next one. Bring up the next one. The next $5 from Jeff Cochran. Quick recipe, favorite recipe for a quick dinner. That's a good question. How quick are we talking? Because like I like to, it takes me a minute to cook something, but it's good.
I'd say quick dinner is less than 30 minutes. Then if I were to assume what is meant by a quick dinner.
I don't know.
My favorite. This takes a little bit of skill, but a good carbonara is quick. You just got to learn how to temper the egg to make the emulsified sauce. But it's like 4 ingredients. You just got to cook the pasta, and then it all just emulsifies.
Are we including burbling time? Because I can give you like 30 minutes of like making it, but then it's got to burble for another like 15, 20 minutes to really be good. That's I'm going to say that's allowed because it's my fucking show. I'll say that's allowed. Get yourself some chicken thighs and cut all the skin and fat. And if they have bones and everything like that, take all these parts out and throw them in a pot and let them just sit there and render for a while. And so all the oils and fats and everything are like coming out of them. In that time, chop your thighs up. Not yours, but the chicken's. And also some like celery and some onion and some carrots and just a fuckload of garlic. And then once you got the chicken juice all rendered out, once you have all that chicken fat rendered out, throw away everything in the pan and supplement any extra little bit of oil you need to.
Fat. Except the fat.
Yes, leave the fat. Throw away the now very crispy skin and bone chunks. Throw all that away. Keep the fat. Supplement it with whatever extra like canola oil you need. Throw in equal amount of flour and make a nice blonde roux. Get it cooking until it's like going.
Are we making a pot pie? Are we making a pot pie?
We're making chicken dumps. Yeah. I don't ever
know what that is.
Chicken and dumplings.
Oh.
Yeah. chicky dumps. And
sure.
get
How can I be so silly?
Yeah, get a good roux going, and then throw in your veg and get the veg happening. And then supplement with chicken stock. Don't throw garlic directly in the roux. Throw all the other veggies in, and then throw the garlic in after you get it all stirred up. Because if you throw the garlic directly in the roux, it'll turn bitter. It's nasty. And then get that going, and then supplement with chicken stock slowly. Don't dump it all at once, otherwise you're gonna have to boil it for like 5 fucking hours to get all the like lumps of flour out of there. Make sure to do it slowly. Turn it into a increasingly moist paste, little by little by little. And then finally, when you have that going and you get it boiling, throw your chicken in, put a cover on that shit, walk away, leave it. And leave that alone for a little while. And if you want to add dumplings, that's already going to be the best fucking chicken stew that you've had in a minute. And seasonings, some thyme, some tarragon, not too much because it's sweet. Some sage is good, and like black pepper. And when I say like enough black pepper, a lot of pepper, too much black pepper. Put in enough black pepper to make your spit hurt. You want to feel like you're getting a hug from your grandmother when you eat this soup, except your grandma is made of like 30% black pepper. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, all that should take.
I don't feel like this is a quick dinner.
That should all take 30 minutes to do and to get it going. And then you just let it burble for a while. And if you want dumplings and you want a quick way, the only difference between like actual proper dumpling dough and like biscuit dough is that biscuit dough has like, it's really just the lard content. The fat content is the only real difference. You could just get a fucking can of Pillsbury, like the Southern style biscuits, and just rip chunks off them, throw them in there, wait until they're not floating and they're kind of bobbling around and your mixture's homogenous. And then they're cooked and they're good and chewy. And it takes you no time at all to make biscuits. That whole meal takes like 30 minutes to prepare and like maybe 10 to 20 minutes to burble. And you've got a delicious, hearty fucking chicken broth or a chicky dump stew that will like stick to you and make you feel like your soul is cozy. You know, like that's how I'm all about it. We'll do a show. We'll do a cooking show.
We'll do a cook-off, a timed cook-off.
Yes. We'll do a timed and tasted. I mean, like, you can probably cook a carbonara faster than I can make chicky dumps, but, like, my chicky dumps will make you want to take a snuggly nap. You know what I mean?
Okay. That's fair.
5, you live in Florida?
Yes, I do.
My condolences. But, like, someday, if we're ever in the same room, I will make you some food.
Well, I don't know where I'm going, but I am going to be leaving Florida because I'm done with grad school.
Yeah. So. Oh, hell yeah. I cannot recommend Oklahoma, but if you're ever
I was going to say, I don't think I'm going to end up there. Don't think I'm going to go there.
No, things have gone horribly awry if that's the case. But if you're ever around the Tulsa area, hit me up and I'll make you some stew. $5 from Empress Lizard. I saw something about synthetic RNA being produced in a lab. How does that even work? Yeah, we can make fucking synthetic RNA and DNA and literally just whatever sequence you want. It's not something I do. I'm not a molecular biologist. So like, it's not something that I'm familiar with, but like, I can tell you how it happens abiotically is like, there's recently been papers showing now like oligoribonucleotide sequences, which is to say short little sequences of RNA can like self polymerize like in exposure to like really simple, like just minerals that are like all over the world. But in a laboratory setting, you would probably just take like all these pieces that you want and throw them up in a thing with some a molecule, an enzyme like RNA polymerase. And RNA polymerase's whole fucking job is to build RNA. That's what it does. And so like we basically, long story short, we know all the pieces of this molecule and we know all the things that make the molecule into bigger molecules. And I am going to call up my molecular bio friends after the show and ask them to give me a rundown of it because I've never had to do it in lab. And they're going to tell me how incredibly right I was and nothing else, and certainly will not laugh at me for forgetting some basic fucking undergrad shit that I just haven't had to do in 6 years, so I haven't thought of. That's absolutely what's going to happen. Absolutely, and nothing else will happen.
I believe you.
Takeaway here is that, yes, we can make synthetic DNA and RNA in the lab, and we've been able to do that for a while. And we can make it say whatever we want. $4.99 from Coffee Mom. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. this is important. This means something, but it's just how patriarchy views the entire world through a penis. I love how patriarchy is trademarked. That's great.
Trademark, yeah.
And I also love the phrase viewing the world through a penis. I got like this spyglass image, you know what I mean?
Yep. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's awful. $20 from Sam Burton Forrest. Please give a rundown of as many of your favorite bands, songs, and musicians as you can. Roxanne too. Thank you guys every day for everything. You go first because my taste is very eclectic.
Mine too. Currently obsessed with Chappell Roan. If anyone here has not heard of Chappell Roan, you got to go listen. She's new pop girly on the rise. She makes amazing queer music. She's from the Midwest. She's great. I'm seeing her next month. This is not gonna seem like my brand, but like one of my favorite artists is Connor Oberst of Bright Eyes fame. So Connor Oberst, Bright Eyes, any like sad Omaha, Nebraska indie folk, that's me. Who else? Love Bon Iver, love anything that Justin Vernon does. Renee Rapp right now. Fletcher. All the gay shit. Literally all the gay pop girlies. I did listen to the new Taylor Swift album. I'm not going to talk about it. You go.
So I'm just looking at, because I have a very eclectic taste. So like, I'm just going to scroll through like what's on like the recommended mixes on my YouTube app at this moment. We've got 311 Amber, Sublime, Collie Buds, Christopher Tin, who did the music for like the Civilization games and other things like that. MGMT. This is like a lo-fi funk vibes playlist. Michael Franti, Green Day, Weezer, and then there's like this cello playlist, and then Damian Marley, and then I've got Super Lonely. But that's what's just on the main, just what's flowing on my playlist today. That's just what's up there at this very moment. What does it mean? Who knows? I really like punk rock and I really like flamenco guitar. So do with that what you will.
Jesse in the chat says boy genius. Yes, absolutely. Boy genius. Lana Del Rey.
Which
yes.
Jesse?
All of the sad Jesse Jerdak.
Hell yeah, Jesse Jerdak. Yes. You should meet him. He's great. We've talking about
some
compliments.
Bright Eye stands in the comments. Yeah.
We were talking about compliments over earlier. Jesse Jerdak texted me while we've been here on the show, and just
did he compliment you?
The show. He said, "This show's so good today. You're doing great, and you look handsome." Thanks, Jesse.
Perfect.
Compliments from friends. So it's all about.
Exactly. And it was balanced.
Yeah,
it wasn't just
great.
You're
doing a good job, and you're gorgeous. $5 on Emery King Forest. I just learned rabbits aren't rodents. Care to explain how they're related in terms of evolution stuffs? Do I want to go grab something? Maybe I can just pull up a thing really quick. I'm going to see if I can find something here. They're lagomorphs.
Pardon me, I've never heard that word before. How have I never heard that word before if a rabbit is that?
Lagomorpha. This is what they are. They're
literally never heard that.
That's rabbits, hares, and what's the other one? Like pikas. I'm trying to see if I can find, because like they're right there next to supraprimates. Rabbit. See if I can find a thing. I was trying to find like a phylogenetic tree that could show like where they're at. This is a pretty decent. Oh, fuck you, Quora. Nobody gives a shit about you or your ads. I'll find something different anyway. They're like right next to rodents is what I'm saying. They're right next to rodents. They're very closely related. And like if you break like fucking shit. There's supraprimates, which are things like rodents, and in fact they are rodents and things like that. And like lagomorphs are just like a little bit off of that. I'm trying to find a good image and I'm not going to find one right now. I'm sorry, Emery King. If I had some time, I would pull something cool up. $4.99 from Julie Cordova. Forrest, please stop saying you're stupid. Fuck you. I'll do it. One show you
Not
did it
the
19
count.
times. Yeah, God,
not the
calling me out
official
like
count.
that. Lame. I'm so stupid I didn't count that. Hood Feminism is another good read. Roxanne, congrats on the PhD.
Yeah, I haven't
That's
read
fucking
Hood Feminism,
fantastic.
but I should probably add that to my list. And thank you for the congratulations.
Fucking, I'm trying to like all of these fucking trees that I'm finding I'm trying to find like a good phylogeny, and they're all just showing like rabbit phylogeny. And it's like, this is where these rabbits come from. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm trying to show them related to other things.
Lagomorph sounds like a lazy werewolf.
Nice. And this person wants a parable. I'll find one. In the meantime, Roxanne coin. What they're asking for here is this is a thing that we do whenever we have like an especially intelligent host. Just inserting a coin like a machine. Tell us a fun fact.
Oh, I was in the circus as a child.
Like in it?
I hate
or
saying
like...
that out loud. Yeah, I was on the
right
trapeze.
On? Hell yeah. That's fucking tight, dude.
It's always one of my like two truths and a lie, because people are like, why would you have been in the circus as a child? But I was.
No one would ever guess that. That's fucking dope. I would say a good parable for today. Have I told the one? I'm asking you, but like maybe a Morgan. Have I told the one about the bandit cutting the branch recently? That's a thing. Damn it. Have I told the one about the old man and the scorpion recently?
Yes.
Damn it. Have I told the one about the donkey in the well?
No.
Recently. Hey, all right. So there's a donkey. Okay, so there's a farmer. This guy. He's got a donkey living in his farm property, and he wants to build a well. And so he starts digging and digging and digging and digging. He's got like this fucking deep as fuck hole going down, and he takes a break and goes and lays down. And while he's not paying attention with this super deep hole, the donkey falls down this well. And so the donkey's in the bottom of the well, and the farmer is really frustrated and upset. And he throws down some ropes and he tries to tie it around the donkey. He tries everything. He's had friends come over to try to help. Nobody can get this donkey out of the well. And so finally, the farmer's like, "Fuck it, I guess I've just lost a donkey." So he decides to just bury the donkey alive and just call it a loss. And so he grabs a shovel and he grabs some dirt and he throws it down. Dirt lands on top of the donkey. The donkey kind of shakes it off like this. And then he does another scoop of dirt, and the donkey kind of shakes it off his back. Another scoop of dirt, the donkey just shakes it off. And eventually, there's kind of a little pile of dirt, and the donkey just kind of steps up on the pile, and the guy keeps shoveling, just keeps throwing dirt down. And every time the dirt hits the donkey, he just kind of shakes it off, eventually steps up on a pile over and over and over until eventually, by the end of the day, the well is completely filled in and the donkey's standing right on top, and the donkey walks away safe and sound. And so, like, the moral of the story is that sometimes you'll find yourself in a really shitty situation, and sometimes life just keeps throwing shit at you, no matter how down you already are. And the best thing you can do is just fucking shake it off and don't let it fucking bury you. And if you can, step up on top of that chaos, because chaos is a ladder. And every time there's some bullshit, you just step right up on top of it. And eventually, not only will you be out of the predicament, you will be made better because of your struggles. It'll make you a better person. And that's the parable. That's the story of the donkey in the well. $5 more from Emery King. Okay, make a whole YouTube video about bunnies because you don't have enough to do, right?
I think for $5,
show...
that's an excellent. I mean, you can't $5. That's you got that.
Hold on. Just hang tight. Okay, so this is hanging in my fucking hallway right outside my door here. This is the evolution and classification of life. This hangs in my hallway. It's really pretty, isn't it nice? It's got like all this beautiful shit. And here you can see lagomorphs, order Lagomorpha, right up here. You go 100 million years ago, right there. You've got, you go back, here's placentals. You go back here, is 150 million years ago. There's the beginning of mammals around 200 million years ago. It's actually like 220 million, but it doesn't matter. So here's mammals, here's therians, go up to placentals, and you take a hard right here, you go up to super primates, and there's lagomorphs hanging out right there. 60 million years old. Really cool guy. And then you break off, here's the rodents, really closely related, and here's the primates, which branch off from super primates as well. So there's your fucking tree. I was trying to find a good phylogeny and I couldn't find one. This is what I meant to show you. This is what I wanted you to see. Something similar to this. Science and shit. $5 more from Mario Marufo. I like it. Do you think we can refute the new apologist tactic of undesigned consequences with UCs from our own
coincidences?
Lives? Yeah,
coincidences.
That's the whole thing. The undesigned consequences. Yeah, it's. I've never heard this exactly, but it sounds
coincidence, not consequence.
That's what. What did I say? Did I say consequence?
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Wait, what is this? I've never heard of this.
Neither have I. I thought you were saying coincidences are a great, way to counter this. I'm like, fuck yeah, they are, because it sounds like.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. My brain is out there in the hall where I got the poster from. And this person wanted me to stop calling myself stupid. What are you talking about? Undesigned coincidences. Fuck me. It sounds like it's the new. It's like when people stopped calling it creationism, they started calling it intelligent design because it sounds a little bit better. It's the same thing. It sounds like here whenever we talk about like. Just random chances, random mutations, random magic, the earth performed, whatever like that. Undesigned coincidences sounds like their way of saying it. And I would point out that there's a lot of fucking undesigned coincidences in everyday life all the time that you don't care about and pay attention to. So like, check them out maybe. And then just Google the words confirmation bias. Try that on for size. Ostgard, Luke Ostgard sent $5. Forrest, have you heard of the concept Chapelle Perilous? It's connected to the Discordians. It could help explain the bloom and conspiracy thinking. I don't know what any of that is. I have not heard any of those terms before. I barely recognize the word forest in that question. I'm looking it up because I don't like not knowing things. Oh, fuck. No, God damn it. Bring it back. Chapelle Perilous. A term referring to the psychological state in which an individual is uncertain whether some course of events was affected by a supernatural force or is the product of their own imagination. Huh.
How come when I Google it, that's not what I see?
I just Googled just the words.
Yeah, me too. And I'm getting a book from a play from 1922.
Sexism is what it is.
What? It really is.
Or maybe it might also be that your ISO is there in Florida and they don't like you learning new things, and so like, they're just trying to keep you.
Huh.
You can't watch Pornhub in Texas, and you can't learn new information in Florida.
Wait, can you repeat you found? Okay.
So this is from the Wikipedia here. Chapelle Perilous is a term referring to a psychological state in which an individual is uncertain whether some course of events was affected by a supernatural force or was a product of their own imagination.
Oh, I see. I gotcha.
It was used in a book called Cosmic Trigger in 1977.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
It's apparently used in psychology at some point, according to
not
Wilson,
my field.
Robert Anton,
I don't.
Right? According to Robert Anton Wilson, it's being in this state leads the subject to become either paranoid or agnostic. In his opinion, there is no third way. Was this worth reading? Nope. Okay, cool. Yeah, neato. I have no idea what any of that is. I'm gonna look it up though. It sounds real cool, and I like learning new stuff about new stuff. With that, that's the end of the fucking show. I do like what this person just put in the chat here. Was that a ghost or am I tripping? That is pretty much exactly what that is. Yeah. That is the end of our show. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching today. Thank you to our mods. Thank you to our call screeners. Thank you to our producer. Thank you to you for participating and for sending in your super chats and your regular chats and all these things. And also, most importantly, thank you to Roxanne. Thank you for being here today, giving us your valuable time.
Thank you for having me.
And your expertise. I sincerely hope.
Always.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's always a treat, a real treat.
I cannot tell if that's sarcastic. Seriously, I can't wait to see if you show up on Chewed Gum. I think you're gonna fucking crush it over there. And I want to see you take a serious Theist caller and just fucking just demolish them with your fucking just cold ass deadpan style. It's so good, dude.
Just I never read your book. I'm not part of the book club. Let's talk about a different book.
I love
so good.
I think there's a sound that you use on TikTok from time to time that just fucking delights me every time. It's I'm going out tonight.
Yes. I'm going out tonight, so hide your men, not because I want them, but because I don't want to see a single man. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I love that so fucking much, dude. Makes me smile, and I feel like that is the exact kind of energy that I could see just being brought to Chewed Gum in the best possible way. It's so good, yo. With that, it's time for me to go away and resume my job. So expect new shit out of my channel soon. Roxanne, do you have anything big coming up you want to promote really quick before we wrap it up?
No, I really don't. I'm in such a transition period. I'm not doing much on social media these days. I'm more active on Instagram. TikTok is a dying place for me. So find me on the gram. Stay tuned for whatever the fuck is next in my life. And yeah.
It may be a place for all of us because our Congress suddenly found the willpower to become united, bipartisan, and extremely efficient. Not to fix roads and bridges, not to provide education, not to raise the minimum wage, not to give us health care, not to stop a genocide, but to ban a children's dancing app where we could say mean things about them. Very telling. Call your representatives. More and more and more. I'm going to go away. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in. Goodbye. Oh, fuck. I thought it was going to take us off the screen when I said that. I thought that was it. Now it's just awkward. I think we're doing this on all the shows now. This isn't the first time this has happened to me. I'm usually cognizant of it, but